Okay, perfect.
Done.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, chalo, Gautam, you start.
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, welcome to 30 days to cat, happening 25 days before cat. So let's start off on that note itself. Welcome. Just confirm that the two of us are visible and audible. Once GP says something, then do reply whether he's audible as well.
I am just checking on the YouTube actually कि कुछ चालू हो गया कि नहीं.
Perfect. So
But,
just waiting to hear from a couple of So where he has already replied. So that means सब
great.
चल रहा है, सब बढ़िया है. बहुत अच्छी बात है.
Yeah, YouTube में
Perfect.
मुझे नहीं दिख रहा कुछ. Gautam, there's some confusion.
अच्छा.
Yeah, I'm just checking on. I thought I'll pick it up because then we can get the questions from there also. हाँ, आ गया. ठीक है. It's running a little behind, but that's okay. No, it's fine. Great. Okay.
Perfect. So I hope this is visible.
Yes,
I hope the PPT is also visible. So
yes,
officially, let me
everything
go
is fine.
ahead. Perfect. Officially, let me go ahead and welcome all of you to 25 days to CAT 2024. हमने सोचा यार सब लोग 30 days करते हैं, हम कुछ अलग करते हैं, हम 25 days करते हैं, कुछ तो अलग होना चाहिए.
प्लान तो 30 days का था, थोड़ा लेट हो गए.
Correct. So this is a nice way of covering that up कि हमने पहले से ही सोचा था हम 25 days करेंगे. So guys, the agenda for today's session is going to be simple. A lot of this we've already gone ahead and covered. I think over the last 6 months हमने काफी sessions लिए. 6 months to CAT, 30 days to CAT, आज ले रहे हैं 1 month. 3 months to CAT हमने लिया हुआ है. All the mock analysis that we do. You would have heard a lot of what we are going to state today before as well. But some of what we're going to say today is new in terms of giving you a very, very specific idea of what you should be doing over the course of the last 3 weeks. And why do I say 3 weeks? Because the last 2 to 3 days before CAT, you'll actually do nothing. Our suggestion will also be chill maro thoda life mein, don't do anything. At max, you can just revise some of the notes that you've taken. So us perspective se lete, you actually have 21 days to go ahead and action. Usme bhi to 2 दिन आपकी दिवाली खा जाएगी. I'm quite sure, right? Already हम आपका धनतेरस खा रहे हैं अभी. So
and one more thing, अगर दिवाली नहीं celebrate करते, you are going to be not let's say sincere to your preparation because खाली पढ़ाई करते हुए बोरियत हो जाएगी. It's also important to take a break, relax, chill out, and look at other things. So Diwali पक्का celebrate करो. If in NCR, maybe you will not get to burst crackers. Outside NCR, तुम्हारी श्रद्धा है जो करना चाहो.
वैसे यहाँ पे तो बहुत बज रहे हैं जीपी, बहुत टाइम से बहुत आवाज आ रही है. I am
government can only pass a rule. Implementation agency in India has always been very poor, and implementation is what CAT is all about. It is not about ideas.
Absolutely. Perfect. So on that note, this is the agenda for today's session. We'll take you through the timeline. I'm sure a couple of these things you're already aware of the timeline, the CAT exam, what to expect. Focusing on the 25-day strategy, what exactly you should do, why mocks are important, reiterating that. Specific plan of action for VARC, DILR, and QA. Certain FAQs that you all might have, we'll keep adding to that based on the questions that come in the chat box. And then the two most important, according to me, something that GP was also stressing on, which is the do's and don'ts and stress management. One of the biggest don'ts is ये मत बोलना खुद को next 21 दिन मैं खुद को बंद कर रहा हूँ, मैं खाली पढ़ूंगा और कुछ नहीं करूंगा. I always have this example, 2003 World Cup, Sachin Tendulkar, no net practice, 0. And we all remember what he did in the 2000 World Cup. We all remember those innings against Pakistan and that innings against England and all of those innings. So I always state that. That does not mean I'm saying koi mock mat dikh raha next 21 days. ये भी नहीं बोल रहे. Extremism is something which is not good for health. That's about
वो
it.
सचिन तेंदुलकर था यार, हम नहीं है. यानी अपनी औकात की क्लैरिटी हमेशा होनी चाहिए.
एकदम. So on the basis of that, let's kickstart. Let's start off with what the exam timeline is. This is where you are at this point in time, yaar. ज़्यादा time है नहीं. You're on the 28th, 20. What today is the 29th of October. Exam is on the 24th of November. I'm guessing tomorrow, day after, you should chill. You should relax a little. Take a couple of days off. Spend time with family and friends. That gives you roughly around 21, 22 days in November. Considering the last couple of days, you'll do nothing. So that's where you are. Two important points here. Number one is अभी क्या करना चाहिए, which is revise करोगे, mock test लोगे, analysis. But एक second important point which you all have not thought about for the last 10 months, 12 months, 6 months, 3 months of preparation, dependent on when you started. But इसके thoughts आना शुरू होने वाले हैं बहुत जल्दी for some of y'all. I will say at this point in time, don't think about it. Don't waste time pondering over क्या करूंगा नहीं करूंगा कैसे होगा. But this is also something which is now directly in your it's not in your rear view mirror any longer. सामने है, दिख रहा है. So this is something that we will talk about as well. कि post cat आपको क्या करना चाहिए. So these are two important things coming your way. But before that as well, there is something which is coming your way probably in a week's time, right? The NMAT starts on the 5th of November. That's exactly a week from today. 7 days mein the first exam of the season kickstarts. Some of you all might be writing NMAT, before CAT, which means you have an exam coming up within the next 7 to 14 days. I will be taking it on the 10th of November as well and coming with an analysis. So to all those I had stated earlier कि पहले मत लिखना, analysis कर लेंगे so that you understand क्या है and what to go about. I hope you've kept that in mind. So NMAT starts on the 5th of November. CAT, as you know, on 24th. Snap, there are going to be 3 attempts. The registration for Snap and ZAT are still open. If you are one of those thinking I will put all eggs in one basket और खाली CAT के through करूंगा, GP seen this for 30 years, I've seen it for 10 years. I hope that on the 24th, 25th you don't turn around and say यार एक और साल अब मैं क्या करूं, just because you thought कि one day के basis में I'm betting my entire hard work. It might not be the ideal way. GP, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered everything clearly, and I just want to re-emphasize on this part that भैया एक एग्जाम के भरोसे मत बैठो. It is always safer to hedge your bets. And end of the day, NMAT, SNAP are going to give you good options. NMAT definitely, NMIMS is among the top colleges. Similarly, through SNAP, you'll get at least two good colleges, two top-notch colleges of the level of NMIMS, which are SCM HRD Pune and SIBM Pune, and 3 good colleges which are very good backup option: SIIB, SIBM Bangalore, as well as SIUM Nasik. Similarly, MICA is one of the best institutes you can get in country for brand management and marketing. So these are exams you definitely have to look at. And then comes the big one again, ZAT. ZAT is extremely important because it will open up 2 very important institutes for you, in addition to the others, XLRE Jamshedpur and XLRE Delhi. And please believe me, XLRE Delhi or NCR campus, it's definitely, if not among the top 10, definitely among the top 15 institutes in India. So there's no way you should leave it. Secondly, when you look at ZAT as a paper, this is a paper which is biased towards people who have good language skills. Unlike CAT, which is mainly a paper which is biased towards people with good quantitative or number skills. So if you are good in language skills, reading is your hobby, or you read well, or in CAT your VARC is your strongest section, then ZAT is a must-do exam for you. Similarly, when you look at Maharashtra CT, those outside Maharashtra maybe not very important, but those of you from Maharashtra, especially Bombay or Mumbai University, MHCT is essential for you. But even for those of you who are outside Maharashtra, I would say don't rule it out. You will come to the stage of taking MHCT after your CAT and ZAT results are out. And if you have not done well there, then MHCT provides you one last opportunity, because not only JBIMS, for JBIMS as a non-Maharashtra candidate, you need a 99.95 plus, and so that makes it very difficult. But Sidnam, KJ Sumaya, these are good colleges which are available to Maharashtra CT. And the good thing is, it happened in March. By then, most of the non-Maharashtra candidates have given up, and then the competition is very low. So these are exams you should definitely look at. And lastly, GDPI, as Gautam said, this is something you have to start worrying about, and maybe at least start reading newspaper if you have not been doing so.
GP, one more which I would add probably to the list is ISB, the ISB YL program now. Considering
ISB तो CAT के through ही हो जाएगा ना?
And they're also, हाँ जी, मैं वही बोलने वाला था. And considering कि वो CAT के through है, so that's another important college. Why I'm pointing this out is form भर लेना. ये नहीं कि ये सोचो कैट के थ्रू फॉर्म नहीं भरना. सो फॉर्म इसका भरना है. डोंट फॉरगेट दैट. दैट्स अनदर दैट गेट्स एडेड टू द लिस्ट ऑफ द टॉप 6-8. नाउ इफ वी आर सिटिंग हियर, वी टॉक अबाउट A, B, C, L, FMS, Excel as the top 6. ISB comes in there. It's at that level. It will be ahead of K and I at this point in time.
Yes, and in fact, Gautam, if you look at any of our rankings or order of preference or Jai to Jai ka in my blog, even it has always been there among the top 6-7 institutes. So even
Correct.
so, I would definitely say, yeah, ये पक्का डालो. And especially those of you who have a blemish in your academic records. कभी 10th डूब गया या किसी का 12th डूब गया, कॉलेज अच्छा नहीं है. ISB will provide you that opportunity because unlike IIMs which are hung up on this profile score, ISB is much more flexible, and there are people with very poor. Your profile will actually come to play there. For example, if your academics is not good, but we are a national level player, you can get into ISB, but you may not get into any of the top IIMs. So please definitely apply to ISB. Don't leave it.
Absolutely. And you know, I would say
Trivia,
you all are very lucky.
trivia. I don't know how many people follow hockey, but one of the Indian hockey captains did his MBA from ISB Hyderabad, and I leave it for students to find out. He's also heading an institute, an organization called Olympic Gold Quest. So let the students find that.
VR, is it VR?
Yes.
Is it VR?
Second one, bilkul,
Okay,
वही
good, good.
That second one was a very
Zad
clear
ke
giveaway.
GK, Zad
Olympic
ke
Gold
GK.
Quest, fund of sports football.
Correct. Zad के जीके में कुछ मार्क्स आ गए. Cool.
स्पोर्ट्स वाला तो तेरा गलत होता नहीं गौतम, स्पोर्ट्स के बाद प्रॉब्लम है.
मैं उसी पे depend. If I go back to IFT and then also that now, I was always dependent कि sports के 3-4 क्वेश्चन आ जाए, ISB का जीके कट ऑफ हो जाएगा मेरा. वो नहीं आएगा तो फाइट हो जाएगी. So yeah. Okay. This is the expected CAT pattern. I'll say ignore this. This is more in terms of CAT 23 क्या था. Don't focus too much on this because you shouldn't go in with a pre-decided mindset कि यार paper would be same as last year या 21 जैसा होगा. Anything. It could be anything. You need to assess it on that day. It's almost like playing a cricket match. You assess the pitch in the first 5-7 overs, understand क्या है, and then you go ahead and you blast and say हाँ ये 350 की pitch लग रही है कि 250 की pitch लग रही है. In the same way, that's what you'll need to do in CAT. But in terms of the pattern, GP, I think you would also agree. I think CAT has hit a sweet spot. अब जरूरत नहीं है
I
कुछ
don't think
change
they're
करने
going
की
to
ज़्यादा.
change significantly. Level of difficulty can go up or down, but pattern में मुझे नहीं लगता कोई खास change आएगा as such. Though I don't agree with this pattern, but that doesn't matter. Whether I agree with it or not is a pointless thing. This is the paper, and this is the paper that we have to deal with. The only thing I need to remember, these are 3 different innings that you will have to play. Each inning is separate from the other
Correct.
one, and you should not allow one inning to impact the performance in the next innings.
Correct. This is like, what Sachin stated, ODI को क्या कर देना चाहिए? Make it 20 overs aside. 20 overs team 1, 20 overs team 2, then 20 overs team 2 again and 20 overs team 1. ताकि वो न्यू बॉल का जो इफेक्ट है या पिच का जो इफेक्ट है, ड्यू का इफेक्ट है, वो हट जाए. वही है, कैट आपको बोल रहा है भैया 3 इनिंग्स खेलनी है, तीनों में मचाना है. नहीं मचाया तो प्रॉब्लम है. You have to ensure that you clear the section cutoff. But the still good part here is, and at least I come from that school of thought, which is you need to have that one section where you're going to say good is good enough. I'm going to be an absolute stud. इधर मैं मचाऊंगा, इधर 99, 99.5 से कम पे मैं बात नहीं करूंगा. That's when you start getting towards that 99, 99.5 plus. If there are general engineer males here, you are probably looking at a 99.7 plus. Otherwise, getting a call from the top 5-6 colleges is going to be difficult because that's just what the criteria is. So you can either sit and cry that I've been dealt wrong cards, I've been dealt unfair cards, or you can turn around and state, ठीक है, I'm Virat Kohli, I know मेरे को 350 chase करना है, मैं accordingly plan करूंगा. So it depends on your mindset. And if your mindset is going to be that Virat Kohli mindset, 350 or 370 or chase down करने की capability तो है, गुंजाइश तो है.
But last 2 matches के बेस पे विराट कोहली is not a good example.
टेस्ट मैचेस की बात नहीं कर रहा ना, मैं तो ओडीआई पे हूँ.
Okay. आज के मैच को लेके चलो स्मृति मंदना इज देयर.
Mandana always when it comes to women. Okay. Again, we are all aware of the 24th of November, but to me, this is going to be equally important, which is going to be the 5th of November when your admit card is released. Because ये मैं question बार बार बोलता हूँ, मैं पहले भी पूछ चुका हूँ, मैं आज भी पूछने वाला हूँ. How many of you get up at 5:30 a.m. every day? Because if you're going to get that 8:30 a.m. slot, reporting time of 7:30, you need to travel 1 hour to get there. You will be getting up at 5:30. And if you're not habituated to it, if you're not used to, being in peak performance form from 8:30 to 10:30, used to having breakfast in that time और भूख लगने वाली है, वो peak performance नहीं आएगी. वो 2-3 क्वेश्चन के वजह से at a higher end those 2-3 questions could be a 0.3 0.5 percentile, at a lower end or a mid end which is around the 90-95 percentile mark, those 2-3 questions could be a difference between 2 to 3 percentile. So to me, the day the admit card comes out, ensuring that you're writing all mocks in that same time slot, and in fact even right now, considering people state it takes 3 weeks for anything to become a habit, I would turn around and state मुझे पता नहीं कैट कब होने वाला है, मेरे को कौन सा slot मिलेगा. I would get up at 5:30 every day. I would ensure 8:30 to 10:30 के टाइम पे मैं कुछ काम कर रहा हूँ where my mind is occupied. 12:30 to 2:30 में भी वो कर रहा हूँ, मैं लंच नहीं कर रहा उस टाइम पीरियड में. 4:30 to 6:30 में भी वही कर रहा हूँ, उस टाइम is not going to be my tea break. At least that's how I would like to look at it. GP, your take.
Yeah, I'll say कि at least right now, even if you are not, let's say, getting up at 5:30, once you get your admit card and you know your slot, all mocks have to be taken in the same way, in the same time slot. And your habit, especially if you have the morning slot, you'll have to change your habit completely. Because I know many of us are late sleepers and get up late. But if your exam is 8:30 in the morning and CAT has a habit, for me at least, they send me always to Meerut. That means to for the 8:30 paper, I need to be there at 7. That means I need to leave home at maybe about 6 or maybe a little earlier, and that means I need to get up at 4:35. So work backwards, work out whatever you have to do. Just make sure you're habituated to that thing. I personally would hate to get a morning slot, but even if I get the morning slot, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ना मुझे because my career is not at stake. Okay, so even if I don't do anything, it won't matter. But from your point of view, it's extremely important, as Gautam said. One question, two questions at the upper end, you can change your score from a 99.23 percentile to a 99.78 percentile. A couple of questions or one question in each section can easily do it. And a 90 to 95 percentile is a 3-question difference typically. So it is extremely important that you be in absolute fine shape and don't take chances. Let your body clock get used to the sequence which you are likely to have.
Perfect. So GP, I'll probably ask you to pick this part up, which is where are you at this point in time? Where you at this point in time? So we've kind of bifurcated this into 3 parts. So over to you, GP.
Yeah.
Say I'm today at a 50%.
Yeah. So effectively, Gautam, if you can just take it forward from here. Yeah. Okay. Effectively, what this is extremely important for you to understand. Look at the 50 percentile score in CAT 21, 22, 23, 6 to 8 questions. That means you do a couple of questions and 2 to 3 questions in each paper, in each section. You can get a 50 percentile. Now, percentile is highly exaggerated. My biggest tip with most of the students is when you talk percentile, you're thinking percentage. Look at the 66 question paper, 6 questions or 7 questions or 8 questions is less than 10% attempt. We are talking about 10 to 12% attempt, 6 questions less than 10%, 8 is obviously more. So 10% attempts can get you a 50 percentile. So please remember that the benchmarks are low. And which is why stop thinking percentage. Look at the absolute marks required in the last years. I'm not saying this will get repeated. But if not 23, maybe 22, maybe 21, maybe 20, some of this will get repeated, but the range is the same. If you look at the last 30, 35 years of CAT, one thing has not changed, which is 99 percentile is typically around 50 percentile. And the 90 percentile is typically about 25 to 30 percentile. This has always been the case. There would be a minor change here or there, and which is why from 50 to 80 percentile is a very small jump. It looks like a huge jump, 50 percentile to 80 percentile. No, it is not a huge jump. CAT 23, 50 percentile to 80 percentile is 17 to 34 marks, 85 is 38 marks. So 34 marks is 11 questions. Last year, 90, the year before last, 19 to 35. The year before that, 25 to 45. So we are talking about 6 odd questions, or less than that, maybe 5 questions even. So 17 to 34 is 17 marks. To get 17 extra marks, you need to get 4 long answers into right answers. You are at 80% there. So it is not a huge jump. Please look at this way. Again, if you look at the 85 percentile mark in these last 3 years, we are talking about 13, 14, and 17 questions in CAT 23, 22, and 21. What is that? About 6 questions on the higher side in each section. Are you telling me you cannot get one set of 6 questions right in each of the sections in 40 minutes each? All of you have the capability. Where you mess up is you speed up and you mess up the paper there. Okay? So relax a little. Remember, the benchmarks are fairly low. So
Correct.
let's go to the next one.
Absolutely.
Now, if you are around 80 percentile, 90 percentile, again, look at the jump. 80 to 90 in about 10 marks, 3 questions. Last year, 34 to 44. The year before last, 35 to 48, which is about 12 marks, 13 marks, which again is about 3 to 4 questions. 45 to 59, again about 3 to 4 questions. So we are talking about low benchmarks. And when you look at, I think, Gautam,
Yeah.
I don't know, but some echo is coming from somewhere. Yeah, I'll just check mine also.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Fine at my end. I can hear you clearly. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So if you look at this paper as such, 20 questions last year, 15 to 20 questions, that means about 6 questions per section will get you 90 percentile. I'm not saying you will get 6 in each, but in some section which you're stronger, you'll probably get 10 right answers. The weaker section will give you 5 to 7. And if you get 10, 5, 7, which is about how much is 17 and 5, 22 questions correct, you are close to 95 percentile. Or in CAT 21, and you'll be beyond 95 percentile in CAT 23. So please remember, 80 to 90, 95 is about a couple of questions per section, not more than that.
Correct.
Okay. And finally, the big one,
hopefully this is the jump. Yeah.
This is what most people are looking at, 99 percentile. Okay. After we discuss this, I'll tell you 99 percentile is a meaningless number, but with that's a separate issue. We'll talk about it in a minute. Okay. 80 to 90 to 99 percentile, again, look at last year. 44 marks in CAT 23 or 15 questions to 25 questions, 3 questions per section. But if you look at 90 to 95, you are looking at 1 question per section, 15 to 18. 15 questions to 18 questions. Similarly, look at 22 and 21. The jump from 90 to 99 in percentile terms or 90 to 95 in percentile terms looks huge. But in terms of marks, in terms of percentage marks, in terms of number of attempts, it is typically 1 to 2 questions per section. Okay? So please don't bother too much about the fact that I am a little low, that I am at 85 percentile, I have to go to 99 percentile. It is possible. Every year we have seen lots of students being able to cross that and bridge this gap, because if you are able to just do that extra 2 questions in each section or convert 2 longs into right, because you convert 1 long into right, you are getting 4 extra marks. 2 longs into right, each section makes it 80 to 24 marks. So 44 to plus 24 will give you 66, which will be about 97 percentile last year. Yeah. So this is the basic theory which you have to look at. Stay calm. Don't try to push yourself. Don't look at 99 percentage. 99 percentile is typically 50%. Last year it was 45%, less than 45%. Actually, last year it was 38, 39%.
Yep. Spot on. Just one thing, GP, that I'll probably ask students to focus on. This entire thing of 90 and 9, which you've already spoken about as well, and I'm sure you'll pick it up, is pure cheese made. Don't forget that there is a sectional cutoff to be made and reached as well, especially when it comes to verbal, because verbal ka generally sectional cutoff is slightly higher than the other 2 sections, because it's generally slightly easier to score there. So when GP was talking about key on an average 6 questions per section, the important word there was on an average, because just 6 questions in VARC you might not even reach the sectional cutoff, whereas 6 questions in DILR, 18 marks, you might actually be at a 95 percentile. So there is a difference there. Do keep that in mind, that at the end of the day, sectional cutoff nahi bhulna hai, and verbal ka 80 percentile sectional cutoff will be around that 20-22 mark, and 85 if you're looking at Lucknow, which has the highest sectional cutoff, might actually be at a 24-25. So that's the only part that GP I would like to add.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great. Now, there's the final conversion. Yes, Gautam, you can take this one.
So, सबसे पहले, जो you need to realize is this is not called cutoff. ये मत सोचना, oh, इसका मतलब है IIM Ahmedabad 93.76 में आ जाएगा. No, this is not cutoff. This is the lowest percentile at which somebody converted an IIM Ahmedabad call last year. that somebody could have been a female from, say, a philosophy or a psychology or a botany or a zoology background, with a 10 at 98 and a 12 at 98 and an undergraduation at 9.5. Now, that might not be your profile. You could be a general engineer male. You could be somebody studying at SRCC right now with a 10, 12 good, but undergraduation at a 7.5 CGPA. Or you could be somebody studying at some other college. So don't consider this to be the cutoff. This is just good in terms of knowledge. Why? Because if you are one of those who has a slightly different profile, a zoology or a psychology or a sociology or pure science or something, there is a high chance you should get motivated looking at this, that there is a high chance I could end up getting a call at a slightly lower percentile. हो सकता है 94 95 में आ जाए. For example, Indore, we know that if your 10 12 undergraduation is good, especially 10 and 12, you are a female, general category, you could end up getting a call from Indore at a 90 to 93 percentile also. That is a possibility, but that does not mean that you will convert. Also, the second thing I want you to keep in mind is ये lowest percentile at which converted है. Actually तो IIM अहमदाबाद पे call तो 88 percentile पे भी आ सकता है. You could be somebody, like I said, from a zoology or something. You could be a girl, 10, 12, undergraduation, very good profile. You could get a call at 88. Maybe somebody got a call at 88 but could not convert. So there are two parts to it. Number one, this does not mean कि anybody above 93.76 call आएगा. Number two, it does not mean कि इससे below पे call नहीं आया. These two things I want you to keep in mind. Third important factor is, at this point in time when we are addressing, you are not only talking to the general category students. Some of you might be OBC, some of you might be EWS, there could be SC, ST, there could be somebody from PWD. So it becomes very important for you to know your target score as well. If I am an ST, I know that scoring an 80-85 percentile means I have a very, very high chance of getting a call from one of the top colleges. So I should aim accordingly. It should not be that I am currently at a 70 and I'm thinking मेरे को 99 जाने और शौक में आ जाओ और मैं कुछ ना करूं, ओवरवेल्म हो गया हूं. आपको पता होना चाहिए मैं 70 हूं तो मेरा टारगेट probably 80-85 है. I'll still end up getting all calls. So that's also an important part. Obviously get as high as possible, but do not get overwhelmed thinking for me the target is very, very high. So these are the 2-3 things I want to talk about. I don't want to get into specific numbers here because it's not relevant or important. It's important from the perspective of there is a high propensity of you to get a call at a lower percentile if your profile is very good. And how do you know that your profile is very good? यार ये Profilizer के बारे हम लोग बहुत बार बात कर चुके हैं. Scan this QR code right now. It will let you know basis your profile at which percentile you can go ahead and get a call from. Yeah, GP, over to you. If there's
Yeah, and I'll again go back to what I said earlier. परसेंटाइल आ जाएगा तो उसको परसेंटाइल कितने मार्क्स पे आता है, क्या परसेंटेज पे आता है, ये भी देख लेना. So extremely important what Gautam said, that this percentile which is given here or what the Profilizer will tell you are only benchmarks, and that is a desirable thing to look at. But at the end of the day, if you think right now the gap between you and that score is very high, don't exert yourself, don't try to overachieve, because जहां पे उधर से भी नीचे गिर सकते हो. So you have to be measured about what you can achieve. And finally, please remember, end of the day, I might desire to do something, but if my process is not right, I will not be able to do well. So in the paper, you have to follow a particular process to do the paper. And I've said this multiple times, the only process which works in a paper is you read the question. If you know how to solve it. If you don't know how to solve, if you're confused, leave it and move on. That is extremely important, because a good outcome is a function of a good process. If the process is sacrificed, the outcome is going to be poor for you. So please remember, this is only a guidance. This will tell you that what is a kind of a benchmark for you. Secondly, it will also tell you one more thing. If your profile is very poor, maybe none of the top IIMs is possible, but ISB Hyderabad, that becomes very important. Similarly, FMS is very important. Then XLRI and SPJAN become SNAP become equally important, because these are the colleges which will look at your score more than your other aspects. 10th graduation would चिंता नहीं करेंगे. So that Profilizer is extremely important for you, because it also tells you where should you focus, which are the institutes you should be going out for.
Absolutely. Cool. And this is what the report will look like. Won't get too deep into this. I think we've spoken about it enough number of times. If you've still not tried it, I think this is something that you're missing out on. About time. Go ahead and look at it. This I think becomes an important thing because you're talking to a vast audience here. GP, if you'd like to pick this up, and
Yeah,
I think this, if I'm not wrong, it's also there on GP Ka Funda. If I'm not wrong, there's an entire article
yeah.
on that. We've come up with our own ranking. But GP, you could, yeah, probably take students through this.
Yeah. See, end of the day, if you look at the colleges, which are the ones you should be going out for, now this is not a ranking that we are giving, first of all. Let's be clear about it. They're saying typically if you get this kind of a score, these are the colleges where you can get a call from. Now, again, it is important to understand when we say 98 percentile plus, we are trying to give a kind of an average. As Gautam rightly said, if you're a girl who studied, let's say, BA history, or who's a fashion technology student, has terrific 10, 12 month graduation, you will probably get a call at 88, 89, 90 percentile also. But if you happen to be a um, general engineer male, you'll probably need a 99.5 plus, and so on and so forth. So there's a kind of a very broad based kind of a thing which says, okay, these are the kind of scores you can look at where you have a chance of getting a call. Okay? So at the top end is your IIMs, ABCL, Indore, Kozhikode. Then you have Mumbai. I'm sure many students will be wondering कि ये M कौन सा आ गया. This was NITI, which has become IIM Mumbai now. Shillong, FMS extremely important. We remember FMS has comparatively lower weightage for your 10th 12th graduation as compared to most of the IIMs. ISB again, that's another one. If you're interested in HR, then Tata Institute of Social Science you have to apply for. Between XLRA, Jamshedpur, and Tata Institute of Social Science, these are your top two institutes for MBA in HR. Okay? Not that XLRA MBA is poor, that is equally good. Okay? SPJN, again, please remember when you're applying for SPJN, you should apply for both the programs. Which two programs? The specialized program as well as the 2-year general program. General management program, both have to be applied. Secondly, IFT, make sure you tick for both the IFT Delhi as well as the Kolkata campus, both have to be applied. MDI, IIT Bombay, again, equally good. Important thing again with respect to some of these institutes, some of them will have their, let's say, closure date for application before CAT. Yes, for example, MDI typically will close before the CAT date. Similarly, SP Jan, I think also. Now, these are the institutes for which you have to take the call and apply in advance. You cannot say, I'll take CAT, then decide. IITs, don't worry. IITs, the application form will come out in January. So you have ample time. You can wait for CAT scores, CAT result. But for FMS, if it is FMS is not out as yet, it might get delayed. But NDI, SPGN typically will happen before CAT. So please do apply for them if you are interested. And a good benchmark again is your profilizer will tell you what kind of score is required and ask yourself, yeah, bhaiya, ho jayega to apply kar dete. And my suggestion is when in doubt, apply. Because we have seen many students in trying to save a couple of $1,000. When in doubt, don't apply and then regret later. So when in doubt, please apply.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Similarly, if we keep going down,
yeah. So similarly, you have the other colleges below, the IIMs, the IIT Madras, the new IIMs, the IIT Kanpur. Now, all of these are good colleges. I find many students not applying, the students who are in the, let's say, 85 to 95 percentile range, not applying to IIT Kanpur. Rookie, why? Apply. Couple of advantages you'll have here. One, the baby IIMs, the new, especially IITs, the fees is very low. And placements are terrific. Whether you look at IIT Madras, Roorkee, Kanpur, terrific institutes. But yes, they are more geared toward operations and systems and analytics rather than finance marketing. Okay, so that kind of specialization is there. So you need to look at them. Similarly, Delhi University has a few very interesting programs which many times people forget about. They apply to FMS. But don't apply to Delhi School of Economics. They have MFC Master in Finance and Control, which is now called MBA Finance. They have MHORD and MBA, which is now called MBA HR. So we have MIB Master in International Business, which is called MBA International Business now. So these are all exams which will typically require something like a 90 percentile plus. If you are general category, if you are one of the reserve category, you'll probably get a call at about 70 to 80 percentile also, depending on the category. Now, these are all institutes you have to apply for to create your backup. Okay. Then you have at the next level these 85 to 90 percentile kind of things. IIT Ghaziabad, IMI. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Okay. Now, in just the couple of
Sure.
institutes which people don't apply to, I just want to point out to them. TAPME and ILMA. TAPME, TAPI Manipal is a very good MBA institute. And because it is in South, many people from North are not aware of it, which I find very surprising and don't apply. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the other institute, which is ILMA, because
Irma.
it says Institute of Rural Management, Anand, people don't apply. But remember, the MBA is almost same. In fact, the FABM program of Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Lucknow is similar. Same thing, go down the level. You identify based on the profilizer what is that you like, based on your understanding of your performance, what are you likely to get, and it is important that you create your backups from here. Apart from taking multiple exams, create a couple of backups from this list also.
Yeah, and you can also go through the GPK Funda article, where we've gone ahead and also ranked these colleges basis multiple parameters. It might also hold you in good stead. Reason being, you will not probably be able to go ahead and apply to 20-25 colleges. You will not want to spend that much also. You need to hedge your bets. You need to know exactly basis my profile, basis my capability, कितना percentile मैं expect कर रहा हूँ, उससे एक level up, वो level and उससे एक level down. You don't want to go 2 levels down, 3 levels down. You don't want to go 2-3 levels up. So I think that will be the ideal way of going about it. Okay. Quickly moving on, the question which is there in everybody's mind at this point in time. Now, this once again, like GP said, is a number. For somebody who's currently at 50, your question could be 80. Can I get to an 80? For somebody who's at 70, 75, it could be, can I get to 90? For somebody who's at 85, 90, it could be, can I get to 99? The whole point is, can I get to that next benchmark, which I am aiming for? Can I get there? What do I need to do over the course of the next 21 days? Well, the answer to that is a simple yes. I'll just take you through the answer. I'll let GP do the difficult work of taking you through the working of the answer. मैं answer दे दूंगा, solution GP देंगे. So the answer is very very simple. CAT knowledge based test है, aptitude test है. It is easy, and like GP was pointing out earlier, even a 99 percentile लाने के लिए you don't even need to do 50% of the paper. Yes, if your accuracy level is probably say around 80-85%, then you'll probably do 60% of the paper, turn around and get about 10-12% incorrect. You still have a chance of getting a 99. If I want a 90 percentile, I probably need to do just 1/3 of the paper and I have good chance of getting there. So you know that this is not going to be like one of those school exams जहाँ पूरा paper attempt करके आना है. वो mindset ही नहीं है. On the flip side, you also know that this is not going to be like one of those papers like a snap or a ZAT or some other paper where you can turn around and state मैं एक दो सेक्शन मैक्सिमाइज कर दूंगा, बाकी मेरा थर्ड सेक्शन जो है वो मैटर नहीं करता. It's not going to be like that either. ZAT was a wrong example here, but SNAP is a correct example, because in SNAP they don't really look at sectional cutoffs. Here sectional cutoff is going to be equally important. So what do I need to do across the board? Well, for that, over to GP to take us through this part.
Yeah. See, one of the important things out here is to understand what are your strong areas and what are your weak areas. Okay. And when I say strong and weak areas, it is not only which of the three sections, but within the section, what are your strong areas and weak areas. Okay. Especially when it comes to quant and verbal, not so much in DILR, because DILR, in the end of the day, you'll have to do look at each of the sets. Okay. And based on that, you will take a strategy, decide how to go about doing it. But before that, again, look at these numbers. Okay, CAT 16 to CAT 23, all numbers are given here. Here, the important thing again is CAT 16 to 19. These are papers which had 300 marks, 3 sections of 1 hour each, and the total 100 questions, so 3 marks per question, so 300 marks. Now, please look at all these papers. 99 percentile is from 16 to 19 is just about 50%. The paper which was very easy was CAT 17, and this is also less than 55% marks. 55% marks would be 175. So other years has been 52, 51%, and this has been the trend for CAT if you go back also. Okay. Now let's look at CAT 2020. 228 mark paper, 102 marks with 99 percentile. Less than 40, just around 40 percentile. Okay, 40 percentage, sorry. Same thing if you look at CAT 21, 22, 23. गौतम यार कुछ एको तो आ रहा है कहीं से मैं जब बोलता हूँ इसमें
अच्छा,
कुछ
I can hear you like very clearly.
नहीं, some
Is it
students
fine for
also
students?
some students are saying there's an echo.
So
I don't know where it is coming from because मेरे हिसाब से YouTube का
do you want to log out and log in again? Do you want to
Let's
log
just
out and
check.
log in again, probably?
एक मिनट अभी नहीं है तो चलो ठीक है guys if there's an echo again let me know echo is there some are saying let me just log out and log in again just give me a minute okay
Sure,
I'll just do that
sure. Yeah, sure. Okay, so while GP does that, so I could hear him clearly. I hope this gets resolved the moment he comes back. So while GP joins us back, couple of things to keep in mind. Just continuing the train of thought that GP was talking about. Just look at CAT 2023 99 percentile, right? You can turn around and see it's slightly less than 40%. It's roughly around 38, 39%. CAT 2022, it's slightly more than your 40%. It's around 42, 43%. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of the last 3 years as well, the average, if you're looking at it from 99 percentile, it's roughly in the vicinity of about 40%. Last year, which was supposedly the most difficult CAT that we've seen, and I add the word supposedly because you, I'm sure, attended our RT99 sessions and you're aware of why we feel that even that paper, you should have surely attempted more than what many of the students might have done. A 42% attempt means you have a very, very good chance of going ahead. Sorry, not attempt, but 42%. If you're able to get correct, you have a very good chance of going ahead and scoring a 99 percentile. Is GP back?
yeah
I think he's back.
yeah
Yeah.
Gautam can you see me okay okay so see all I was saying at this point just to add to what Gautam was saying 50% marks is a very good performance in CAT across the three sections okay, on an average. Now, if we break it up further, I will say you should be looking at 60% in English, 50% in Quant and DILR. If you can do 60% attempt in English and 50% in Quant and DILR, sorry, 60% marks in English and 50% in the other two, you will do very well in the paper. And this is what this table is telling you. And again, I'll repeat, this is not the last 3 year or last 10-year phenomena. This is something that we have observed, at least I have observed since 1995. And when I go back to my CAT paper, and that was a longish paper, then we used to have 2 hours and something like, if I remember correctly, it was 240 odd questions. I don't think I did more than 60% attempt. I don't think my score would be more than 50% even then. So this has been the trend in CAT because one of the ground rules which most of the aptitude tests tend to follow is if the paper can be done in 2 hours, give them only 1.5 hours. That the time available should be about 60 to 65, should be sufficient to do only 60 to 65% of the paper, best case 75% of the paper. So that means they are expecting you to pick and choose the question that you can. So it is a decision making skill which is also getting tested. Many people think this is a paper of maths and English. Under the guise of maths and English, this is a paper of decision making skills. Are you choosing the right questions to attempt also? The way in your life, you have to take the right decisions, but you never have the full information. Here you have time constraint, you don't have the full information, and yet you have to do the right question because every mistake is going to penalize you in terms of marks, and that is what will happen in real life also. So to some extent, CAT as a paper is a reflection of your real life. And which is why I have always maintained it is not only a paper of aptitude, it is more importantly a paper of your temperament. So if you are relaxed, if you are comfortable, if you are Captain Cool like Dhoni coming back to cricket, you will do well in this paper. If you are someone who's going to panic, who's like a cat on a hot tin roof, then there's nothing to save you as far as this paper is concerned because you will be all over the place and you will only panic. Okay? The important number again, I
Perfect.
want you to
GP,
look at a 90. Yeah.
yeah, can't hear you now, GP. Okay, now I can hear you. थोड़ा सा lag है. GP, a couple of students are saying probably your YouTube is open on your phone as well. So maybe the voice is reflecting from there.
Let me just check.
Okay, so then that's not the issue. It's fine. We can hear. So Ajit is saying it's fine. So I'm guessing it's okay now. Guys, can you just confirm that everything's fine at GP's end?
Okay. No issues now, so
No
it's
issue
okay.
now. Okay, perfect. I think that's resolved. Perfect, resolved. So
Yeah.
GP probably because I was
just one thing which I want
sharing
to
my screen.
Yeah, Gautam, just one thing I want to close with on this issue. To me, the important number to look at again is a 90 percentile. This is about 25 to 30% of the marks. So at no stage should you be worried about not doing well. In fact, if you look at this paper, a 0 marks in quant will typically give you something like 30 to 35 percentile. A 0 marks in DILR will give you something like 25 odd percentile. A 0 marks in English is going to give you something like 20 percentile. If you have 0 on an aggregate, you are still 25 percentile plus. So that means 25% of the population is going to get negative scores. तो भैया आराम से शांति पूर्वक करो, जो भी करोगे, you will end up getting close to a 90 percentile as long as you are doing the paper sensibly.
Perfect. So GP, I was yeah, so I was sharing my screen. I think there is a the voice and your video mismatch, at least at my end. I hope it's fine for others, but there is a voice and video mismatch for you. So I could see that you were talking, but आवाज पहले आ चुकी.
चलो तुम
तो
गौतम
जो
कंटिन्यू करो.
lightning and thunder वाला चल. Perfect.
Yeah. Gautam,
Yeah.
you continue. I will log out and log
Okay,
in
I
again.
am lagging. No, I am lagging. So students are saying I am lagging. You are fine. Okay, perfect. So then issue at my end, not at your end. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to pick up a couple of questions now. That students have put up here, so that we can go ahead and answer that.
Sure.
Let's just have a look at those. One is, sir, I am torn between to study CAT and college SEM, which is 2 days after CAT. So basically torn between studying for CAT and studying for the college semester exams. I think this will be common for everybody who's currently in college, because generally
इसी
CAT
के
के
साथ
आसपास ही
यार,
होता है. So what is your suggestion? Yeah.
nothing. You have to manage. No solution. Till CAT, Nida, just focus on CAT. एंड कॉलेज में तो आई एम श्योर यू नो हाउ टू क्रैक योर कॉलेज एग्जाम. पास होना तो हम सबको आता है कॉलेज के एग्जाम में. लास्ट 2 दिन नाइट आउट मारना है, पड़ोसी से उसके नोट्स लेने हैं, इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन यू हैव टू मग अप एंड वॉमिट इन द पेपर. दैट्स द ओनली थिंग यू कैन डू, निदा एंड अदर्स. So please remember, CAT is something, and your percentage will not change much. Your marks in college, whatever are your marks in the first 4 semesters, fifth semester is not going to have a significant change in your marks. Unless you fail, then it's a separate issue. We don't want you to fail. Similarly, if you are in engineering, your first 6 semesters are gone with the 7th semester exam. It's not going to be a big change. Just manage your this semester without being too worried about the marks and keep your focus on to CAT is what I would say.
Perfect. I'll pick this one. Rishabh is asking me about how to refine VARC solving methodology similar to yours. So similar to mine would basically mean area of strength ये नहीं है, area of strength quant and DILR है. Verbal में क्या करते हैं? Verbal में सब maximum attempt करने की कोशिश करते हैं, and very clear about the fact that accuracy might be around 70-75%. Very okay with it, but the objective is to attempt as much as possible. So my one recommendation here always is see what you're doing in verbal, which means not RC. What are you doing in those 8 questions? Where are you? Are you being able to score roughly around 15 marks at least in the verbal part? Can I get about 5 questions? वो जो FIB आता है, you can call it whatever you want to call it. For me, it is fill in the blanks. One statement given, 4 or 5 places where they tell you, देख लो ये कहाँ जाएगा. उसमें 6 out of 6 you should get. Those 2 questions have to be handled. If I look at last year's CAT as well, and I look at it from the last few years, always para jumble में 1 theta is easy. Critical reasoning, which is para summary, is generally not very difficult. At least एक निकल आएगा. What am I doing to ensure that those 12 to 15 marks from verbal is in my control? Because if you are doing that na, you will surely be able to handle at least 2 RCs. अगर 2 RC भी handle होगा, which is 8 questions, so you get 6 right and 2 wrong, 75% accuracy. That is still 16 marks. 14 here, 16 there, you're looking at 30 marks. You're knocking on the door of a 94-95 percentile in verbal. And that is very good if it is not your area of strength. If it is your area of strength, obviously you need to go higher. Then probably you would already be knocking at 30-35. You're looking at, increasing it by another 10 marks or so. But if this is not your area of strength, मेरे को 30 के आसपास अगर आ गया, आई एम सॉर्टेड, बिकॉज मेरे एरिया ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ में तो मैं एम कर रहा हूँ मैं 35-40 निकालू. क्वांट अगर मेरा एरिया ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ है, अगर मैं वहां 35-40 निकाल दूंगा और वर्बल में मेरे पास 30 ऑलरेडी है, बिटवीन दीज 2 सेक्शंस यू आर डन, यू आर सॉर्टेड, 65 डन. वहां DILR में 2 सेट अगर निकल गए, यू आर लुकिंग एट अ 99.5, 99.7. सो माय रिकमेंडेशन वुड बी verbal is something you should not be missing out on. I am not a proponent of stating कि दो ही RC करो, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying even on an off day, अगर 2 ही RC हुए, 6 right 2 wrong हो गया, but verbal में you are able to get 5 questions, you still have a very very high chance of scoring 30 plus in verbal, which is a very good score. Yeah, GP, if you want to add something.
See, again, I'm assuming in the same way you said that possibly Rishabh ka verbal is not a strong point. Now, I believe in one simple funda. जो मेरा strong point है उसमें तो मैं front foot पे आ जाऊंगा. I'll go all out, take my chances, do all kind of tukka, जुगाड़, guesswork सब करूंगा. Because वहां पे inherently my logic works and all my guesswork is likely to be correct. But where I'm weak, there I work exactly the opposite. When in doubt, leave. So in English, if English is not my strong area and I read a question I don't understand, I'm going to leave it and move on. Unless it's a theta. Because if it's a theta, कुछ तो लिख दूंगा मैं. Hopefully, कहीं एक दो सवाल सही हो जाएंगे तो मेरा काम बन जाएगा. So my only suggestion, in addition to what Gautam has said, is in your weak area, which appears to be verbal, please don't take chances. That does not mean you try to verify the answer sahi hai ki nahi, uske liye you read the passage again. No, read the passage, go to the question. If you understand what the answer is, or if some answer comes strikes you, mark it. If it does not, go to the choices once again. If you still can't get the answer, leave it and move on. Because remember, this is your weak area. Your guesswork, your tukka, your jugaad, everything go to failure. Your guesswork, tukka, jugaad works best in your area of strength. Secondly, just to reiterate what Gautam said, the 8 questions of verbal, which includes 2 questions of parajumbles, which are possibly a little difficult for most students, versus the 6 others. In the other 6, I would say maybe 4 is something what you can definitely target. Based on the past CAT papers, you will typically find that the para summary is not difficult. At least one can be done. Most of the time, I am able to get both of them right. Or statement is maybe 1 out of 2. And when it comes to sentence placement, again, at least 1 out of 2. Also, out of these 6, typically 4 is not an issue. And parajumble किस्मत की बात है. मेरे से तो आज तक हुआ नहीं है ढंग से. मैं लिख देता हूँ. बन गया तो बन गया, नहीं तो मेरे को कोई टेंशन नहीं है. Because as I said, मैं ज्यादा टेंशन नहीं लेता अपने weak areas की.
Perfect. One last question before we go back to the PPT GP. This one's for you. Yeah. Ajit is saying
80 to 90 marks in the last 5-6 marks is Ajit good, na? After analyzing, realized that can be 20 to 30 marks, but I missed. Okay. So Ajit
basically बोल रहे हो औकात स्कोर 110 है.
हाँ, ठीक है. So Ajit, मैं तुमको ये नहीं बता सकता कि तुम्हें क्यों नहीं आ रहा है. I can give you a process which will help you identify why you are missing out. First question is, where are you missing? Where do you think is that 20-30 extra marks possible? Quant, DI or LR? Assuming it is in all 3 sections, it is about 7-8 marks in each, or 7 to 10 marks in each of them. Then the first thing you need to do is check out in which of these sections is your error into error rate high. When I say error rate high, okay, let me rephrase it. It's not error rate high. In which of these question sets you have made the section you have made silly mistakes. Yeah? Because that is the biggest problem, because that is a question which should have given you +3. It is giving you -1, so you're losing 4 marks because of that stupidity. Identify the reason. Most of the time you'll find the reason is either I'm rushing through the question or I'm over-analyzing the question. And so identify that issue and try to ensure that it does not get repeated late in the subsequent papers. Second thing you need to look at is and ask yourself, where am I wasting time? For example, in Quant, you started doing the question, spent 5-6 minutes and then left the question unanswered. Why did you even start that question? Okay? Or even if you left the question unanswered after 2.5 minutes, I will still ask you the question, why did you even start that question? So this is pure and simple time wastage. So you need to identify the questions or the type of questions in which you are wasting time in Quant. Same thing in DILR. Is my selection of set right, or is my choice of set is a problem? Because if your choice of set is a problem, then you need to go back to the papers and see how to choose the sets to attempt. And the tool for you is available in your mocks. For almost all the mocks, I have made a DILR overview where I have explained what should be the sequence of attempt for each of those papers. What sequence should you follow? Which set should be attempted first and why? Which one should be kept for later and why? So that selection is what you need to look at. Assuming your selection is right, but your speed is not up to the mark and you are barely able to do 1.5 set in 40 minutes, that means you have not revised sufficiently. Which means go back to your mocks, identify the DILR sets, which you can solve but you struggle with, which you can solve but you get confused, which you can solve but take you a lot of time. Those are the sets you have to start revising. So at least once a week, revise all those sets. And when I say revise, put your pen on paper, make a table, solve it completely, use jugaad, whatever has to be done. Because once you start revising, the methodology becomes a part and parcel of you, and you'll be able to solve them faster. Your calculation skills will also go up. Okay? English, again the same thing. Where did I waste time? Am I going back to the passage every time to identify the answer? That's a pure wastage. That means why did I not read the passage carefully the first time? The other thing could be I'm able to read the passage. When I come to the question, I go deep into analyzing and end up with analysis paralysis and end up confused. In that case, back yourself, go by your instinct and mark the answer and move on. So these are some of the things you need to do. Identify the issue in each of these sections so that you can address that issue.
Perfect. One last question I'll pick up because Sanyam has posted this 3-4 times. To the others who are posting questions, don't worry, we'll pick them up a little later. Scores in CL mocks portray that I can make about 95, but the current percentile provided doesn't align with that. Please enlighten. GP, if you want to go, I have an answer to this. I always have an answer to this, but yeah, you could probably go ahead first.
Yeah, I'm not clear about the questions.
Okay, so he's basically stating कि जिस मार्क्स पे आप लोग दिखा रहे हो कि 95 आएगा कैट पे, उस मार्क्स पे मेरे को कम परसेंटाइल मिल रहा है मॉक पे.
अच्छा,
इन शॉर्ट
ठीक है,
ये क्यों हो रहा है?
ओके, ठीक है.
So there are 2-3 parts to this. One, obviously, हम जो अभी दिखा रहे हैं, the percentile that we're showing on our screen is over the years. The mock level of difficulty might not necessarily be a CAT 23, CAT 22, CAT 21. One section could be a 23, one section could be a 19, one section could be a 18. All three could be different, so the percentile will keep changing. For example, next year when we are taking the same session, GP and I, 30 days to CAT, हम उसमें CAT 24 भी डाल रहे होगे और शायद बोल रहे होगे CAT 24 में 92 आया था 99 percentile में. So students will then start thinking, अच्छा 92 चाहिए, 76 नहीं चाहिए 99 के लिए. So that is one point. Please keep that in mind. Second, which I always state is, while there is a law of large numbers, however, students who actually seriously prepare, right, in one of these stop and shoot, taking out money, putting in money, पैसा लगा के, time लगा के, parents का पैसा, खुद का पैसा जिसका, is not those 3 lakh people who are writing CAT. 3 lakh people writing CAT, 1.5, 1.6 lakh are making up numbers. So whatever percentile you are getting here is out of the 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 test takers. When you extrapolate that and include the 1,50,000 who are not serious test takers, एक percentile jump भी आता है, which is why we always state, along with the mock percentile, there is a predicted percentile which is also provided in your mocks. Have a look at the predicted percentile. That predicted percentile will give you a better idea of this similar mock, had it come in CAT with 2.5 lakh, 3 lakh people writing, what percentile you could have expected. For example, even if you look at the CAT 23 slot 1 paper, when you write it down, all of y'all, the percentile that you might get at a 75 might be lower when you're writing it here because all serious test takers have written. Whereas in CAT 1,50,000 एवं उठ के चले गए थे, which is why 0 पे 30 percentile आता है, like GP says in Quant. आपके mocks में 0 पे 30 percentile नहीं आएगा Quant में, because 30% of the people who spend so much money and preparing are not going to end up scoring a 0. They will score few marks. So that disparity is always going to be there. So always keep in mind, and which is why I always state, mock में score देखो and predicted percentile देखो. These two things are the most important. Yeah, GP, if you want to add something.
इसमें एक दो चीज मैं ऐड करता हूँ. In career launcher Siam, we have over 55,000 students enrolled with us. No paper has been taken by more than 12 or 13,000 students. Gautam, that number is right?
Yes, correct.
That means only about less than 25% of our students who have paid full money, classroom के लिए, online के लिए पूरा पैसा दिया है, they are still not taking these papers. So those 75. So if you are in those 12,000 or 13,000 people who are taking the paper, you are ranked 1,000. Let me assume you actually ranked 1,000 out of 55,000, not out of 12, 13,000. So your percentile jump will happen. एक चीज और याद रखना. In CAT, there is an extra pressure on you. So a slightly easier paper question will also look somewhat difficult. So the performance in CAT the marks will get subdued a little because of this extra pressure of the paper. Okay, the same paper outside the same question outside the paper looks very easy. जब हम इस साल जब लोगों को देते हैं पुराना कैट का सवाल, कहते हैं तो बहुत आसान है. क्यों नहीं हुआ? बस पेपर के अंदर प्रेशर होता है. Because for many of you, the thinking is my future is at stake. So I need to be extra careful. That creates pressure, and that is why the marks also get subdued a little. And just to repeat that just to add to that one last thing, when I came out of CAT last year, everyone's saying quant difficult है, मैंने ही बोला difficult है. But I still said in my slot there were about 15 or 16 doable questions, but attempt beyond 10 to 11 is going to be a challenge. Why did I say that? Because the questions were lengthy, they were looking confusing. So people under pressure are likely to leave those questions, which was actually very simple questions. And that is exactly what happened.
Great. Cool. Guys, further questions down the line. Let's quickly go ahead with what we have in store. CAT 23 score versus percentile. I'm sure all of you all are aware. I hope all of you attended the RT99 sessions that have been taken by all of us, offline or online. We've discussed this in depth, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'll quickly move on to the important part. यार 30 days plan बोल रहे हैं 25 दिन, तो actually last 25 days में करना क्या चाहिए? What is it that I should do over the last 25 days? This is where this part comes in, the part that I was talking about earlier, the part that GP has spoken about earlier as well, which is going to be that one section. If you have two, great, but which is going to be that one section where this is my area of strength, and either मैं good नहीं हूँ, either मैं awesome हूँ, either मैं stud हूँ. This is where I'm going to go ahead and maximize. And generally, according to me at least, that section will either end up being a VARC, where you would be looking at a percentile of this range, 99.5 plus, hopefully 99.9 times, or a QA. Because agar wo DILR hai na, you are actually on very fine thin ice. Why? Because it's very risky to turn around and state DILR is my area of strength और उस पे मैं full bet कर रहा हूँ. हो सकता है एक दिन आए जब 3-3.5 सेट निकल जाए, आके बोलो कि क्या बोलते हैं ये लोग, कुछ पता नहीं है, मैं तो 45 प्लस ला रहा हूँ. But it is also highly probable that you will end up picking up one set, spending 12, 13, 14 minutes on it and say, yaar samajh nahi aaya, ye kya hua mere saath? And then end up in a situation where you've not attempted more than 1.5 to 2 sets. So banking on DILR, at least to me, always seems slightly risky. It will either be a verbal where you will want to go ahead and maximize, or a quant, and DILR एक supporting partner होने वाला है. Partnership बहुत अच्छी है, वो एक supporting partner होगा. But irrespective of that, उस section जो आपका hero होने वाला है, there the aim needs to be a 99.5 plus. Don't turn around and state I am good at quant and then I'm satisfied with a 97 percentile there. Then it's going to be very difficult if you're going to be aiming for a 99.5 plus overall. If you're good at it, be very, very good at it, be exceptional at it, so that you can make up for that section which you're not that good at, and you can be okay with getting around a 85-90 percentile in that section. GP, something you want to add before we give them an example of what we mean by a hero?
Yeah. See, I'll only repeat something which I said a little while ago. If you're good and verbal, go all out. मारो तो छक्के मारो, फ्रंट फुट पे जाओ, विकेट के बाहर निकल के मारो, जो मर्जी करना है खेलो. Take all chances, because if you're good in verbal, you will get them right. Your logic works in that way. Similarly, if you're good in quant, take all chances. तुक्का मारो, सब कुछ करो. Because if you're good in quant and you end up doing 8 questions, there's no way you'll get a very high score. So you have to be moving fast. And if you're good, you should be able to move fast. You should be able to solve all questions. But at the same time, if you're good in quant, does not mean you will attempt those stupid, difficult, or time-consuming questions. Same thing in verbal. You are good in verbal, but ये सवाल समझ नहीं आ रहा, छोड़ दो, आगे चलो. Okay? Secondly, I want you to remember the most fortunate people out here are the ones who are good in verbal. If you can get because this is the only section where you can get a score of 50 plus comfortably, 50, 55, 60 is easily possible in this particular section. Okay? And if you can get a 50 plus, you have already got a 95 percentile on 93 percentile, or worst case 90 percentile. You're already at 90 percentile. A score of 50, 0, 0 last year would have been something like a 90 percentile plus, Gautam, or close to 95.
Yeah.
Okay?
Close to
Okay.
about 93
So if you are
percentile.
good in verbal, if you are good in verbal and you are not very comfortable with quant and DILR, remember, you do verbal. Don't put that pressure कि मुझे verbal को बाकी दो का compensate करना है, नहीं करना है. तुम verbal को independently खेलो और अच्छा खेलो. Back yourself. Don't pull your punches. Just back yourself and go all out. DILR में ना चुन के सवाल करना. चुन के सवाल कर लो if you are weak there, because even Gautam has written 24 each. If you get even 20 each, one set of DILR 15. Let's say you do 5-6 questions, 15, 16 questions, the marks there. You have cleared sectional cutoff. Let's say 20 questions on 55 plus 20 plus 15 is going to be 55 plus 35 is going to be 90. You'll be very safe. So the most fortunate ones I've always maintained are the ones who are great in verbal, because this is a section which can push your score to a very overall score को कि 99.5 plus पे लेके जा सकता है.
Perfect. So generally a question उठ के आता है, what do you mean by इस section में hero होना है? तो हम लोग ने एक quantitative example तो दे दिया कि भैया 99.5 plus 99.9. Now what I want to take you through is taking up one section which is quant in this case, and driving home what we did in RT99 GP. We've gone ahead, we've done RT99, we've spoken a lot about quant में अगर high marks चाहिए, जुगाड़ methodology at least जहाँ apply होती है करनी चाहिए, हर time conventional method से नहीं जाना चाहिए, additional 2-3 question उसके वजह से attempt होंगे. RT99 हमने offline बहुत ले लिया, हमने online भी ले लिया, but now is the time to see whether you are actually putting this into practice. So I just want to hear from you. We will not go ahead and solve these sets. We will not go ahead and solve these questions, but I at least want to hear what is the right way of approaching a question like this, guys. And you have the chat box. How would you approach this? You've attempted RT99.
बहुत टाइम लगा दिया. इतनी देर में तो सॉल्व हो जाना चाहिए था सवाल ही. अरे यार लेखरा क्या कर रहे हो तुम? यार ये खत्म हो गया लेखरा. लव लेखरा, आई डोंट लव यू. या नॉट इवन नहीं यार शुभजीत. यार बहुत बुरा लग रहा है मुझे. बॉस पुट एक्स इक्वल टू 0
इसलिए करना चाहता था मैं जीपी. या
t by 2t plus 1.
ओके
चलो एक 60 का भी ठीक है. t by 2t plus 1 is still fine. But ठीक है. At the end of the day, if you put x equal to 0, you get the lower limit and you get the answer.
करेक्ट. सर ऐसे कैसे होगा? एकदम होगा, क्यों नहीं होगा? सो टू वेज. एक जो जीपी बोल रहे हैं, you can go ahead and do that. Second, the way I like to do this GP is just look at the options. 3/7 तीन ऑप्शन में है. So equal 3/7 आप जैसे ही करो, you get x plus 1 whole squared equals 0. So x equals -1. फिर दो ही ऑप्शन बच जाते हैं, because 3/7 included is only in option 1 and 3. And then in option 1 and 3 if you look at it, क्योंकि upper end पे जाना है, तो 8/9 and 1/2 आप equal to half करो, you get 8 equals 9, which is not possible. Or you can do what you stated, which is put x equals 0, get a lower limit, then go ahead and start operating with x equals 1 and move forward. Because range निकालना है अपने को function का. Perfect. So that will be one question, and this is why I wanted to put these here. This is very interesting, right, GP? Geometry, we've gone ahead and we've done a lot of that in RT99. If this question you want to go ahead and do of geometry,
this was again
guys,
a cat question.
Yeah, this is, if I'm not wrong, I think this is CAT 2017. वही जो साल हम बोल रहे easy था. 17 या 18 का है.
I don't remember कौन सा साल है, but cat का सवाल है ये.
Yeah, it's a CAT question.
जो मुझे सॉल्व करना नहीं आता, लेकिन आंसर निकाला था मैंने.
So guys, what should you be doing here? Objective is, do you know the method? Do you know what is the smartest way of going ahead and cracking this? Graph is easy, base and height. Graph तक सही है. Yep.
Yeah, no one. You need to find the area of the circle. No, area of circle निकालना है.
So for example, अगर एक ग्राफ बनाया 1 मिनट के लिए,
क्या ग्राफ बनाया?
ये हो गया आपका 0 0 1 2 3. पॉइंट्स डाल दे रहा हूँ जीपी खाली.
0 0 4 0
4 0 and I think 3 9 है, right? So somewhere here से.
Yeah.
अब इसको ज्वाइन कर दो. अब the basic funda that you can go ahead and operate here on is that the diameter is the largest chord in the circle, क्योंकि इसके अराउंड आपको एक सर्कल बनाना है. So the diameter is going to be the largest chord in this circle. Now if you look at the length of any of these sides, say this is A, B, C. AB you know is 4. What is AC? It is root over 3 square plus 9 square, which is root 90. And what is BC? It is root over 1 plus 9 square, which is root 82. That means I can say that the diameter is going to be greater than root 90, greater than equal to. इतना तो बोल सकते हैं. मतलब radius is going to be greater than equal to root 90 by 2. तो एरिया जो होने वाला है पाई आर स्क्वायर्ड इज ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू पाई इनटू आर स्क्वायर्ड विच इज 90 by 4. मतलब 22.5 पाई से ज्यादा आंसर आना चाहिए. As simple as that. Look at this option. ये 17 point something है, ये 4 point something है, ये 2 point something है. This is the only one which is possible. That is the answer. Now there is a very specific reason why I'm putting these questions here. Going ahead and doing RT99 is one thing. After that, whether you are working on it, whether you are applying it, whether you are trying to think कि हमें जो जुगाड़ methodology दी गई थी और अगर ये मेरा area of strength नहीं है पर ये easy question है तो मैं कैसे करूं is another thing. And this is where your last 30 days में मुझे क्या करना है starts. It is not going to be the sessions that we take. It is going to be what you do with the sessions that we take. What do you do with the inputs that we give? A lot of you all are going ahead and stating, sir, मेरा भी question answer करो, मेरा भी करो. Answer सबके question कर देंगे. उस पे करते क्या हो? That is going to be the game changer. The answer that the two of us give is not going to be the game changer. Please look at that. Now some students are saying, sir, RT99 क्या है? This is like, sir, ठीक है, रामायण सुन ली, राम कौन थे?
शिवम थोड़ा सा लेट हो गया, बट कोई बात नहीं.
कहाँ होते हैं
चलो एक काम कर सकते हैं शिवम, ऑल दी मॉक्स जिनका जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशन है एंड गो टू ओपन कैट, देयर जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशन देयर आल्सो, प्लीज गो टू देम. तुम्हें समझ आ जाएगा क्या करना है. बट दिस वाज अ क्वेश्चन वेयर यू हैड टू अप्रॉक्सीमेट एंड गेट द आंसर.
Correct. And there are a few more questions. We won't spend time going through all those questions. I put them here because this should act as a revision. Take these screenshots, watch this video again. Again, this question 3, very simple to do if your basics are in place. Very simple. You can go ahead and estimate and do this. This was there in RT99 as well. It's one of my favorite questions, so I just put it everywhere that I can go. इससे ज़्यादा cute question मुझे दिखता नहीं है. So I'm quite sure that this is something that you all will be able to handle. And then another example of a question from geometry. Once again, this is a CAT question that we used to do. Try applying what we've done in RT99, because अगर apply नहीं कर पाए हो, हम जब कर रहे हैं आपको लगेगा वाओ सेशन बहुत अच्छा था. हमें वो वाओ नहीं सुनना. हमें वो ability that you learned from us and being able to apply it, and thereby you are able to attempt 2-3 additional questions and score 6-8 additional marks, is what is going to make us happy. That is going to be the wow factor. Wow factor is not hearing wow when the question is solved. So please go ahead and ensure that you put the foot to the pedal, because this is the time when you have to go ahead and do it. Otherwise, it's going to become very difficult. And like GP said, if you've missed RT99, ensure all the CDC Pro mocks, you go ahead and you attempt them. All of them have Jugaad solutions. They've got solutions of this type for some of the questions. Again, we never say जुगाड़ हर के लिए होगा. We don't even say जुगाड़ हर में apply करना चाहिए, because कई बार conventional भी बहुत easy होता है. So yes, it will be there for the questions where it's needed. Go ahead and look at it. It's going to hold you in good stead. This also answers the question to some of those who were stating, sir, I've just started taking mocks, or I won't have time to take all of them. Which one should I take? Take the pro mocks. Take all of them, because you're going to also get the jugaad solutions with that. Yeah.
Also,
so GP, I'll
move. Open cat में भी जुगाड़ solution डाले हुए ना.
Absolutely. So that is something that I had towards the end. But yes, as GP stated, we'll share a QR code with you as well towards the end of this presentation. OpenCat is a platform. You all have heard about it enough number of times from us. Go ahead, look at it. It's a platform where we've accumulated a lot of content over the last few years from CAT and what we as CLF provided, and provided it to you free of cost, so that you can make use of it, especially for those who are thinking कि यार मैं खुद prep करूंगा, I don't want to go somewhere else. That's going to be an amazing platform for you to go ahead and have a look at. The QR code will be there towards the end of the session. Scan it, go ahead, look at OpenCat, lot of Jugaad solution videos there as well. Yeah, GP. Taking you, over to you, probably some must-do things over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah. So attempt a mock is given, okay? But at the same time, don't overdo in terms of attempting a mock. 2 mocks a week is good enough, because if you take a mock and you do not do a good analysis of it, it's a waste of time. Because only when you analyze will you understand what are you doing right, what are the mistakes you are committing, where how is it you can improve in a particular section, and what are the things you need to do to improve your speed. So attempting a mock two mocks a week is extremely important. Okay. Second thing is practice. When I say practice, again, to me the first thing which is you need to practice questions from old CAT papers. You are going for CAT, the best source which you'll get is going to be old CAT papers. CAT 17 to 23, do all of them. Additionally, if you have time, go back to CAT 99 to 2008. So these are the papers that you need to be looking at, because these papers are what will work best for you in the given situation. Okay? Thirdly, every time you take a mock, identify, especially in Quant and DILR, which are the question or data sets which you should be revising. What revision does is it converts a medium question to an easy question. What it does is it allows you to increase your speed and improves your accuracy. So revision is the reason why accuracy goes up. Practice is the reason why you are able to test your temperament. Okay. So please remember that revision is equally important. Thirdly, please remember, after every paper, you have to ask yourself, what was my accord score? If I did not achieve my accord score, what was it that prevented me? And I talked about that a little while ago. I think संयम ने जो सवाल पूछा था वो था किसी और का था कि पेपर में के बाद क्या करना है. That analysis has to be done. So as long as you are able to do this on a regular basis, it should be fine. So if I look at a 1 week as a unit of time, 2 days a week you need to do this papers, which is the mocks. 2 days a week, keep for revision. 1 full day for revision of all questions of Quant, 1 full day as all revision of all questions of DILR. So that takes away 4 days. The remaining 3 days you have to look at doing old CAT papers and the mocks which you have not done. Use them as you can do some of them as section tests also. But between the two, if I have to prefer one, I will go for old CAT papers 17 to 23, especially for DILR and Quant, and 99 to 2008. English may not be of relevant for you for 99 for 2008, but Quant and DILR will definitely be useful there also.
Perfect. यार ये ऑब्जेक्टिव बहुत बार बोल चुके हैं. दिस इज जस्ट ड्राइविंग होम द पॉइंट व्हाई यू शुड बी राइटिंग मॉक्स. वी ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट मॉक्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट सो दैट यू नो क्या अटेम्प्ट करना है. उतना ही ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होता है कि यू नो मेरे को क्या छोड़ना है, क्या नहीं जिसमें मेरे को टाइम वेस्ट करना. बिकॉज ईच टाइम यू आर नॉट वेस्टिंग टाइम, यू आर सेविंग टाइम. That's very, very important. And that saved time means you could attempt to additional questions, and you could go ahead and score some additional 3 to 4 percentile. Assessing strength weaknesses like GP spoke about, and like we spoken about earlier, कि strength को maximize करो. वीकनेस पे there is this tendency कि मैं वीकनेस पे बहुत ज्यादा टाइम स्पेंड करूंगा. उससे दो प्रॉब्लम होती है. एक, आप स्ट्रेंथ को उतना मैक्सिमाइज नहीं कर पाते एंड ओवरऑल परसेंटाइल इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन ओवरऑल मार्क्स. वन. नंबर टू, व्हेन यू स्पेंड सो मच टाइम ऑन वीकनेस ना, weakness generally is an area which you do not enjoy. It also means that you are not enjoying your preparation. Suddenly you get bored of what you are doing and you start feeling यार ओवरऑल मेरा परसेंटाइल भी गिर रहा है, my marks are not increasing. इतना ये लोग बोलते हैं मैं करता हूं पर मार्क्स डिक्रीज करते हैं. वो बोरडम नहीं आनी चाहिए. You need to keep enjoying, which is why when you spend more time on your area of strength na, you enjoy that part as well. So that I think becomes very, very important.
एक मिनट इसमें जस्ट ऑन द सेकंड आइटम एक चीज मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ, एंड आई हैव सेड दिस अर्लियर आल्सो. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, जो तुम्हें पिछले 6 महीने से 1 साल की प्रिपरेशन में नहीं समझ आया, अगले 15 दिन में भी नहीं आएगा. अगर पिछले 6 महीने से 1 साल में यू हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू गेट द हैंग ऑफ पैराजंबल, कुछ नई चीज नहीं होने वाली अगले 3 हफ्ते में. नहीं होगा यार, लीव इट. सिमिलरली इफ यू से मेरे को ज्योमेट्री नहीं समझ आती, नहीं आती तो नहीं आती, लीव इट. ऑल यू विल नीड टू डू इज पुराने CAT papers के do all the geometry questions, see which ones you understand, start revising those questions. But don't pick up your books and say, let me now get my geometry in place. It is not going to happen. So please learn to give up. That जो नहीं आया पिछले 6 महीने 1.5 साल में, अब भी नहीं आएगा, वो तुम्हारे लिए relevant नहीं है. Just forget about it. Yes, Gautam, back to you.
Absolutely spot on. Obviously identify what, and this I think is very important. We will also end up taking a session few days down the line जहाँ we will say GP की strategy of attempting a paper, मेरी strategy, जीजो की strategy, शिफ्कू की strategy, सजील की strategy, रवि की strategy. आज हम 7-8 लोग हैं, all 7-8 of us will have different strategies, different way of attempting it. Couple of us might have slight overlap here or there, but the time to change your strategy is over. Do not hear any one of us. Yes, you can take certain tidbits, you can improve upon your existing strategy. Don't consider at this point in time changing your strategy completely. Don't do that. I will also vociferously go out and state that with 21 25 days to go, it's very risky. You don't know what's going to happen anyways. कभी कोई new strategy apply करते हैं, उसको strengthen करने में, solidify करने में लग जाते हैं 1-2 महीने. So this is not the time to change anything. Yes, you can take certain tidbits from what we state, improve it, action upon it, don't change it. Focus on what works for you. And finally, improve your testing. Anything, GP, you would want to add with respect to the strategy or test taking
Yeah, I
skills?
think this is fine. I think overdo नहीं करना चाहिए, यही करो बस, simple रखो चीजें. Don't complicate the issue.
Perfect. While analyzing mocks, what are the few things, we always state focus on attempt and accuracy rate. एक चीज जो मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा is, and we also have this shorts ka series which is going on at this point in time, which is 90 days 99 percentile. उस पे one particular thing I went ahead and spoke about, which is जब आप mock analyze करते हो ना, our tendency is to start with questions I got wrong, move to questions I did not attempt, forget looking at the questions I got correct. You do not spend time looking at the questions you got correct. Whereas it's highly probable that, say, I got 7 questions correct in quant, but those 7 questions I attempted in 35 minutes. आपने तो टाइम ही नहीं छोड़ा खुद के पास बाकी कुछ करने को. So probably your entire thing went wrong in those 7 questions. So it is ideal to probably kickstart your revision. At least that's how I like to do it. Kickstart it with the questions you got correct. See, was there a better method? Could I have applied something else? Why is it that I got stuck? Why did it take so much time? Was it there a problem in my concept? कोई जुगाड़ solution है जो मुझे strike नहीं किया? पहले खुद try करो. नहीं होता, go and watch GP's जुगाड़ solutions. See what you can take from them. Make a note of it. Next time वो ना हो. Then move to questions you attempted and got incorrect. And finally moving to questions which you did not attempt. That's the ideal way of analyzing them. Generally अपनी ये tendency रहती है, right हो गया मेरे को तो ये आता है. वो आता है कि चक्कर में यू फॉरगेट दैट जो आपने एडिशनल टाइम स्पेंड किया ना, उस टाइम दैट यू एक्चुअली वेस्टेड, यू डिड नॉट इन्वेस्ट इट, यू वेस्टेड इट. So do keep that part in mind, that there is also an ideal amount of time, which is why next to every question we tell you what is the average time taken by those who score 90 percentile plus in this question. See मेरा time vis-a-vis वो लोग का क्या है. It's important.
A simple benchmark from a quant perspective is that if I have to get if I can do about 12-13 questions in 40 minutes, I am on track. That means on an average, I should not be spending more than 3 minutes on any question. Now, if you look at these questions, there's some questions you do it in half minute, 1 minute, 1.5 minute. That means if I'm looking at this paper, there will be a few questions that I can afford to give extra time. However, they should be kept for the end. The other thing which I want you to look at when you are looking at this paper is that in terms of quant, especially again, I'm restricting myself to quant, that there are 22 questions. If you have to read any question and understand whether you want to go ahead with it or not, on an average, it will take you about half a minute. So you have to remember that the amount of time you have available to solve a question or solve questions is just about 30 minutes. Because 22 questions, reading and deciding whether to do it or not, 11 minutes are already gone. So, and out of those 30 minutes, if you have spent for 15 minutes in 3 questions, you have killed yourself in the paper. So, which is why what Gautam had said a little while ago, this is the art of leaving question is extremely important in this paper. औकात के ऊपर है, छोड़ दो, सोचो मत. Unfortunately, in the paper, we start thinking, यार ये नहीं हो रहा, मेरा काट गया, मेरी जिंदगी बर्बाद, करियर बर्बाद, सब नेगेटिव सोचने लगते हैं. खुश हो यार, खुश हो जाओ, मुश्किल सवाल है, छोड़ के आगे जाओ, बिकॉज आगे वाले आसान होंगे. No paper will have only easy questions or only difficult questions. If at a stretch you are getting 5-6 difficult questions, be comfortable with this fact because आगे जाके तुम्हें stretch पे 5-6 आसान सवाल भी मिलेंगे. So छोड़ दो, आगे चलते जाओ. It is important to keep moving.
Perfect. So let's have a look at it section wise. We are towards the end of our session. A few things for you to keep in mind when it comes to VARC. Obviously, keep practicing, persevere. I always talk about this. Jijo always talks about this. Keep reading, right? Keep practicing every day. ensure you're solving those 2 or 3 RCs. Ensure that is happening. Ensure you're reading from multiple sources. Aeon, especially OpenCat. I think that's the now. If there is somebody were to ask me कि OpenCat को मैं best way से कैसे utilize कर सकता हूँ अभी, I would say over the next 21 days, निचोड़ लो all the RCs that are there, because most of the RCs that even we use, because we've analyzed cat over the years, we know कि Aeon से आता है, we know NYT आता है, we know Hindu आता है, we know Guardian आता है, तो हम भी mocks में उसी genre उसी के आसपास use करते हैं. So there is one particular place, OpenCat, where you can get RCs from all of those sources, rather than going to 4 different sources, getting their subscription and trying to read. एक जगह में you will get all of that. So I think one place where OpenCat is going to help you a lot over the course of the next 3 weeks, and I would recommend that all of you all go there, is उसका verbal part देख लो, RC part देख लो, read through that. It is going to help you. Why? Because cat में समझो botany के ऊपर कोई set आ गया, at least कुछ पढ़ा हुआ होगा यहाँ. ये पढ़ के ये नहीं लगेगा ये मेरे साथ क्या कर दिया, क्यों हुआ है मेरे साथ. That won't happen. So I think that is one thing that you should surely do. Second, patience. What? Spend adequate amount of time reading. Generally we get very impatient. मेरे को ना जैसी लगता है 2.5 मिनट हुए 3 मिनट हुए मैं पैसेज रीड कर रहा हूं, impatient होके मैं क्वेश्चंस पहले देख लूं, ये कर लूं, वो कर लूं. उसमें what is going to happen, and GP constantly talks about this, the back and forth, and eventually the amount of time you end up spending on that particular RC or that particular question is way more than what it would have been had you spent the 5-6 minutes initially to read the passage properly. So I always come from a school of thought which is, if I want to spend say roughly about 8 minutes on an RC, there is no problem spending about 5.5 minutes reading, because if you've done that, that is time invested. The remaining 2.5 minutes, there is a very high chance you'll be able to solve the 4 questions. So do invest that time, have patience, do not get impatient. And obviously smart work. What does smart work means? यार हर आरसी में हर क्वेश्चन करना भी जरूरी नहीं होता, स्पेशली इफ यू आर गोइंग टू बी वन ऑफ दोस जिसके लिए एरिया ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ नहीं है, लाइक जीपी पॉइंटेड आउट लिटिल अर्लियर. इफ दिस इज नॉट एन एरिया ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ, आई विल err ऑन द साइड ऑफ कॉशन, व्हिच मींस मेरे को ये पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन समझ नहीं आ रहा, ऑथर क्या बोल रहे हैं समझ नहीं आ रहा, छोड़ूंगा. I will leave it. I will not turn around and take punts. On the flip side, if this is going to be my area of strength, I will take punts because I know मेरे पास knack है. मैं जब पंट लेता हूँ 80% टाइम्स करेक्ट होता है. मेरे को knack है, मेरे को अंडरस्टैंडिंग है इस चीज की. जब knack है, please go ahead and build up on it. Reverse engineer the section, obviously.
Yeah, Gautam, just to add to what you said, even if I get 50% right, I'm still better off. Because अगर मैंने 6 सवाल में 50 तुक्का मारा, 3 सही हो गए, I get 9 marks, I lose 3 marks, I'm still net 6 positive. तो strong area में तो पूरा पंगा लेना चाहिए है.
वही है अपना 0.5 GP. Which is go on the offensive, play on the front foot. Exactly what you were stating. कि भैया पंगा लो, take it. Do not worry too much about it. So that's basically it from verbal. GP, anything you want to add in verbal?
No, I think covered everything. We can move to DI.
Perfect. Yes, this is something that we had covered in RT99. In case you've not gone through it, forget it at this point in time. But the beast methodology is very, very simple, which is, this is basically a methodology by which you can eliminate. We say that RCs are also like quant, wherein you can go ahead and eliminate a lot of questions. If it's a broad option or an extreme option, or the options are alien, not related to the concept or what the RC is talking about, sidetrack कर रहा है. जो बोल रहा है सही है पर RC उसके बारे में बात नहीं कर रहा. टोन मिसमैच, जो बोल रहा है सही है पर आरसी का टोन पॉजिटिव है और ऑप्शन का टोन थोड़ा नेगेटिव है, सार्कास्टिक है. These are ways in which you can go ahead and eliminate. To all those who've done RT99, I hope you're going ahead and applying this. If you haven't, once again, go ahead and have a look at the solutions for the VARC section in the Pro Mocks. Jijo has gone ahead and recorded that. He's gone ahead and applied a lot of this. So this will be a nice place for you to go ahead and revise that.
And when you're analyzing your mocks, look at the verbal, whether it is RC or the parasummary question which you have got wrong. Okay? And see if you could have applied beast or eliminated choices using this technique to be able to get the right answer. Because if you start looking at those questions, suddenly find, yeah, eliminate करना मुश्किल नहीं है, हो जाएगा उससे वो.
Correct. Moving to DILR, GP, over to you. I think we're going to build up on what we did in RT99.
So out here again, when we are talking about DILR, we discussed this part as to how do we go about doing it. And here I want to again focus, like in IC, the understanding of the passage or the data set is extremely important. People waste time or people quickly skim through the data and do not decipher the data properly. You have to understand what it's talking about. You have to understand what I'm supposed to do on that. If I'm not able to comprehend this, then there's no way I can do the question. So comprehending or understanding what the basics layout is, basic data given to me is extremely important. Second thing which is not used by students is identification of the information in the choices. Most people do not worry about the question on the choices. They look at the data, understand the data, make the table, solve it, and then go to the question. But how do you know what the questions are asking for? So in this case, it is important that you look at the questions, identify what is it that they're asking me to find. Because when I'm making my table or trying to understand the data or make the table, I will keep in mind and try to focus towards that. Secondly, when we talk about identify, we also say there will be questions which will be able to give you extra information to help you fill up the table or get the answers faster. So this is the second part which is important. Third thing which everyone does, but most students do it very haphazardly. When you are layouting, when you are making a table, when you are jotting down information, make it a neat and clean table. Make full use of the rough sheet given to you. Draw neat and clean diagram and write down all the information in a neat and clean manner. Then you will not miss out on information. Half the time, what happens is we scribble data all over the place, and then we are not able to recollect the information, and that is what makes us mess up the paper. So most of the students say decipher and lay out and then solve questions. Identify is important. Neat and clean data set is equally important. Resolving is nothing but answering the questions. And one important thing which I want you to understand is, let me assume is you do the process, but somewhere you get stuck and you have been able to only do half the table. No issues. Go to the question. I can bet you that most of the time you will still be able to solve one or two questions, maybe three questions out of four also. Because with the partial information you get, you'll be able to solve maybe a couple of questions. Do those two questions, move on to the next set. Yeah.
Perfect. Just one thing, GP, and I'm sure you'll talk about it in Quant as well, which is the neat diagrams help a lot in geometry as well.
Yes.
I think not just in DILR, it helps a lot in geometry, and I'm sure
आज ही
you will
मॉक
talk
के
about
मैं
that.
आज ही मॉक 13 का मैं जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशंस कर रहा था. दो सवाल तो वैसे ही किए हैं. अच्छा सा फिगर एक में बना हुआ था, एक में फिगर बना लिया. बहुत अच्छी चीज लगती है मुझे
Correct,
ज्योमेट्री.
exactly. पसंद नहीं है, बट ये जुगाड़ जब लगा तो मजा आ जाता है.
ज्योमेट्री की थ्योरम कोई दो तीन ही याद है मुझे. ज्योमेट्री नहीं आती, सवाल का आंसर निकालना आता है बस.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so simple. The question that generally comes up is, यार machine gun strategy, या फिर sniper strategy. That is what we spoke about in DILR, which means, am I looking at a question at a time, or am I looking at it as a set at a time? And the answer to that always is, it has to be a combination of both. Which means initially you need to spend some time going through all the sets to identify कौन से set है जो मेरे को थोड़ा सिंपलर लग रहा है, जिससे मैं शुरुआत कर सकता हूँ. एक प्रायोरिटी ऑर्डर डिसाइड कर लेना है. बट देन व्हेन यू पिक अप एंड स्टार्ट सॉल्विंग अ सेट, you should also be very very careful that you, like GP pointed out, you look at the questions, you look at the options, because हो सकता है एक पर्टिकुलर सेट सॉल्व करने में गया हूं, बट उसके अंदर भी एक दो क्वेश्चन है जिसमें थोड़ा undue amount of time लगेगा. So a disproportionate amount of time lagega. Does it make sense to spend that much time on that particular question? Is a call that you should take. One. Second, there could also be sets like I remember RT99, the CAT 2018 ka one set that we did of IIM Calcutta, wherein the answer had to be a multiple of 22. वो set पढ़ोगे, question पढ़ोगे, you know that it's going to take time for you to solve it. But there was that one sitter question there which was saying, आ 3 mark मेरे से ले, pocket में रख और जा. Are we willing to accept those 3 marks or not? So the answer is always, it's got to be a mixture of both. Spend some time identifying the priority order of sets, and then within those sets also identify the priority order in which you want to solve questions. एक और चीज जो मेरे को बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट लगती है DILR के अंदर, especially when solving the questions, is you will realize 5 question है, 1 2 4 5 is based on the data that is given. Question 3, add some additional data. If this would happen, what will happen? Yeah, if additional data is there. Now होता क्या है, क्वेश्चन 1 and 2 पहले आंसर कर लेते हैं, फिर हम क्वेश्चन 3 पे चले जाते हैं. और होता क्या है, वो क्वेश्चन 3 को फिल करने के लिए टेबल में एडिशनल हम लोग ने ऐड कर दिया. We've added more. And now when I want to solve question 4 and 5, I don't remember what was the additional data that I added. So sometimes it also becomes very important to identify the order in which you want to solve, which means you might want to start with 1, 2, then move to 4, 5, and then come back to that 3, which are additional data. So these are few pointers that you should keep in mind for DILR. GP, over to you for quant.
Yeah, quant तो बहुत simple लगता है मुझे. Okay. Because the reason why I say it is simple, because apart from formula, which everyone uses, I also use the other 7 methods. So the challenge for most students is they are stuck with formula, they are stuck with theorems. And शायद प्रॉब्लम यही है क्योंकि वो पढ़ाई में अच्छे थे तो उनको यही सब किया है. मैं पढ़ाई में अच्छा कभी नहीं था, तो for me it was always somehow get the answer. So I draw figures, I do everything, I approximate those couple of questions that we shared a little while ago. So this is again what we have covered in Race to 99. This is what we do in the Jugaad videos. This is what you will find in Jugaad videos. So many of my Jugaad videos are available on YouTube and OpenCat. You can go through them. But the important thing is, please understand, to be able to apply any of these things, including the formula, the first and foremost thing is you should read the question carefully and be very honest to yourself कि यार मेरे को समझ आया कि नहीं. अगर नहीं समझ आया ना, प्लीज छोड़ दो and move on. अगर समझ आ गया and you know exactly what is to be done, do the question. अगर समझ नहीं आया but you think you can do it, please leave it, come back to it later if you have time. So the basic rule being in terms of quant is, if you know exactly what is to be done, please solve the question. If you have not understood at all what is to be done, obviously leave the question. The challenging are the middle ones. यार हो तो जाएगा लेकिन थोड़ा confusion है. Leave those questions. Please remember the basic rule to be followed is, when in doubt, leave. Come back to it later if you have time. So first finish out of those 22 questions. Please remember, out of these 22 questions in the past, and I can bet this will happen this year also, at least 7-8 questions are something which are straight direct formula oriented questions. If you remember the replacement formula, you will do it. If you remember that एक आदमी इधर से आता है, एक इधर आता है, and after meeting, one takes 5 hours, the other takes 25 hours to reach their destination, there's a specific formula. So as long as you know that these are the 7-8 questions pure formula oriented, and you can do the at least 5-6 questions, 4 to 5 questions, you know you have cleared the sectional cutoff. Second thing is, out of the 22 questions, typically you find again 1/3 of the question can be applied by Jugaad. Now, between these Jugaad question and the basic formula oriented question, you will typically get 12 to 15 questions. And it is your job to worry about these 12 to 15 questions. Other questions are immaterial for me. I will not bother about them. because जो समझ नहीं आया वैसे नहीं समझ आया. ठीक है. And secondly, जो कंफ्यूज कर रहा है वो अभी भी कंफ्यूज कर रहा है, आधे घंटे बाद भी कंफ्यूज कर रहा है, क्यों टेंशन ले रहा हूँ. Thirdly, last year 99 percentile was at about 9 questions, or yeah, 9 questions.
26, yeah.
Prior to that, the 99 percentile was about 10 to 11 questions. At most stage, I need to do more than 50%. So what does that mean? I have only 50% of the paper to be attempted. The paper is saying effectively attempt any 11 out of 22. So I should attempt those 11 out of 22. That time 100% sure of solving. When in doubt, leave is the golden formula to be applied.
Perfect. Just one last thing, a word of caution. You know, we've seen this many years and it happens with a lot of students. वो 22 के 22 का चेहरा भी नहीं देखते हो आप. होता क्या है, लास्ट के 4-5 क्वेश्चन मिस हो जाते हैं, वो चेहरा नहीं देखा जाता है, एंड देन यू कम बैक एंड स्टेट यार शिट इसमें तो 2 सिटर थे. Ensure that doesn't happen with you. You know, ensure you've had a look at all 22 questions, and then on the basis of that you know कि मेरे को कौन से क्वेश्चन जो एब्सोल्यूट सिटर है जो करने हैं. एक you know haphazard order में होता है, multiple combinations are possible in which the paper comes, but one thing that I've always observed, last के 3-4 क्वेश्चन में 1-2 सिटर तो हर ऑर्डर में होते हैं, and that's purposely there because it is for those students whom they know will not look at it. So don't miss out on that part. Okay. Certain things that we've spoken about that you should keep in mind. How many mocks to attempt from now? I think GP pointed it out, roughly about 2 mocks per week, he said. So if I'm looking at it, extrapolating 3.5 weeks to go, you can look at it from the perspective about 6 to 8 mocks that you should be attempting from now till CAT. GP, daily schedule also GP had shared with you. If you remember, he had stated 2 days where you're writing mocks, 2 days where you're analyzing, 2 days where you're looking at PYQP and along with that sectionals. And also he had spoken about कि ensure हर week में आधा दिन एटलीस्ट ऑफ ले रहे हो, खुद को भी टाइम दे रहे हो, दिवाली मना रहे हो, बिकॉज इफ यू आर नॉट रेस्टिंग यू विल नॉट गो ahead and recuperate enough to go ahead and put your best foot forward. So I think that part also we've gone ahead and discussed. How to conquer self doubt, GP, yeah, this one probably because I think a lot of questions on this were also coming. कि सेल्फ डाउट हो रहा है, अब 21 डेज बाकी है, यू नो क्वेश्चंस हम कर रहे हैं, थोड़े मार्क्स भी अब बढ़ नहीं रहे हैं, कम हो रहे हैं, क्या करें?
कुछ नहीं है, सबके साथ होता ही है. End of the day, we can show you large number of students who have at about 85, 80, 90 percentile 3 weeks, 4 weeks before CAT or 2 weeks before CAT. These are cycles which will happen. Virat Kohli fail ho raha hai na. Boss, everyone goes in and out of form. Don't worry, he will also come back on form, in form on the D-Day. Today's match, I don't know how many of you follow women's cricket. India was playing New Zealand. Last 5-6 matches, if not more, Smriti Mandhana was continuously failing. Yeah. Today was a critical match. Yeah. She hit a century. We won the series. So it is extremely important to remember to do that. You have to continue with it. You have to persist and you have to believe in yourself. Yeah, तुम दफा नहीं हो, गधे नहीं हो, बेवकूफ नहीं हो. Okay, please remember that you are someone who's putting the effort. You are putting genuine effort. It will come useful for you and you will be able to do well. So खुद में भरोसा रखो. पास्ट में अच्छा हुआ है, आगे भी ठीक हो जाएगा.
Perfect. Okay. Study new versus revise old. I think GP hit the nail on the head. Very stated. यार अभी तक अगर नहीं हुआ है और अब तुम सोच रहे हो लास्ट 20 दिन में सडनली कोई मैजिक आ जाएगा, कुछ हो जाएगा और मैं कर लूंगा, वो नहीं होगा. Don't get there. It is better that you strengthen and build upon what you've already done, and you know, work towards your strength to ensure that you can get where you need to. How to revise? I think GP important
just
question.
To add to, Gautam, just to add to that study versus revise all, what you know, revise it so much कि उसमें कुछ गलती ना हो. Okay, because end of the day, whether it is Quant, whether it is DILR, whether it is English, you are talking about only about 50 to 60% attempt. Okay, so जो आता है उसको इतना अच्छा कर दो, उसमें गलती ना हो, बाकी सब चलता है. Yeah, Gautam, you are asking how to revise.
Yeah, I think very important at this point.
See, one of the things I want you to remember is that you can throw away all your funda books, etc. वो खोलोगे तो पिटाई होगी, because how many times will you read that stupid simple interest formula again and again, जो तुम्हें 8th class में भी मालूम था. Okay, so revision does not mean going through those formulas all over again. Revision means looking at those questions. So what you need to do in your mocks, in your old CAT papers, previous year question papers of CAT, look at those questions which are solvable, they confuse you. Look at the questions which are solvable, which will take you time. Look at the question which you can solve by some jugaad. You have been able to identify some good way of solving questions. These are the questions which you need to revise. Similarly, in DILR, look at those sets which again you are able to solve but take you time, or you get confused, or you are not very confident of. Revise. These are the sets which you need to revise. What is very easy, which you can always solve, or what is difficult and you will never solve, are completely meaningless for you from a revision perspective. The middle ones, the level 2 questions, this is what you need to revise. So whether from your old CAT papers, from your mock CATs, keep revising those sets of Quant and DILR which fit the bill. And that is what you keep doing again and again. And on the day of CAT, you'll suddenly find some of that will work for you.
Perfect. Couple of things, GP, that I would like to add here is, one, please make use of the drill down analysis. You know, it's very, very important. Especially, you know, इसे आज मैं जाके बोलूँ कि यार मैंने एनालाइज किया है, THD के क्वेश्चन मेरे से ज्यादा हो नहीं रहे. ड्रिल डाउन एनालिसिस में जाओ, THD टॉपिक वाइज देखो और वो देखो वो सारे क्वेश्चंस क्या थे. Revise them again. That's the best way. That's, you know, that's an automated way in which notes have been made for you. The important questions topic wise are ready for you. Second, I hope everybody has gone ahead and made their own notes over the last 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever time you've been preparing. The important, in some cases, the important formula, like GP was saying, you know, एक साथ मिल गए, उसके बाद दूसरे एंड पे जा रहे हैं, टाइम लेना, SB by SB is root over TA by TB. अब ये फॉर्मूला है, ये आना होगा, नहीं आता प्रॉब्लम है, नोट होना किया होना होगा. You should have gone through it. So you should have a list of your formulae. Luckily, it's there on your MyZone as well. List of important formulae to go through. Download it, go through it. That, according to me, can become a regular thing you can do. Once every 2 days, you can go through it. Those important formulae. Second, the important questions like GP said that you've gone ahead and earmarked. I think these are important things to keep in mind. Finally, balancing strength and weaknesses. I think we've spoken enough about strength and weaknesses and how you need to build upon your strength and ensure that you maximize. ये क्वेश्चन GP, बिकॉज अब मैं अगर मैंने एक तो ये स्क्रीन पे भी आ गया 50 to 90 एंड लुक एट आहान, दिस हैज जस्ट कम राइट नाउ आल्सो, and I'm putting this here, which is, sir, how to go from 50 percentile to a 90 percentile.
50 to 90, I think we started from here only actually.
Yeah, we started from
पहले
50 to
हमने ये
80,
किया था
85,
50.
roughly.
हाँ ठीक है. 50 percentile was what score? Something like 20 marks roughly. Okay. And 90 percentile is
Yeah,
something like 40 marks, 40, 45
yeah,
marks.
44.
So we are talking about 20 marks, 25 marks on the higher side. 25 marks means 8 new questions or 6 questions converted from negative to positive. Okay. Now, Ahan, please, again, there are two ways to look at it. Am I worried about sectional cutoff, or no, I just want the overall 90 percentile? Because there are many colleges which don't look at sectional cutoff, they look at only overall score. For example, IMT Ghaziabad, tap me. Most of the institutes outside IM, MDI, and XLRI, SPJN, if I remove these institutes, practically all the other institutes will not have a sectional cutoff. Obviously, I'm missing a few, but by and large, these institutes will look at only the overall percentile. So one way is to like I'll maximize in one section, I'll get a 90 percentile because I can get if I want a 40, 45, 90 percentile आ जाएगा उसके अंदर. ठीक है. The other way is I still want a sectional cutoff to be cleared. Look at the 90 percentile mark in each of the sections. It is fairly low. And 50 percentile, again, I'm repeating, is something like 20 marks, 20 to 20 to 50 to 45 marks. We are talking about 2 questions extra per section that should get you through. So look at each of the section and see where is it you have scope of improving the most. Let me say English is poor for you, but Quant is great. Then go all out for Quant and improve there. The reverse would happen if English was your strong point and Quant was a weak point. Okay.
इसी के साथ जीपी कंटिन्यूइंग ऑन दैट ट्रेन ऑफ थॉट दिस इज आल्सो अनदर क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज कमिंग फ्रॉम अ लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स व्हिच इज टू बी ऑनेस्ट एक स्पेसिफिक कोई एरिया ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ नहीं है सो इट्स लाइक आई एम जैक ऑफ ऑल ट्रेड्स master of none.
So John, if you look at that, you're not good in any one section, you're average in all three. What does 45 or 50 marks mean? About 15 to 20 marks per section, 5 to 6 correct answers per section. Okay, so break it down. Don't look at 90 percentile. I'm again repeating. Don't worry about the percentile at this stage. Worry about marks. Look at the last year's papers. In the worst case, 90 percentile would be about 50 marks. 50 marks is about, let's say, 20 marks in English and 15 each in Quant and DILR. So it is not a difficult task. You break it down into smaller components and look at each section separately. John, if you say I'm not good in any section, but can you solve about 5 to 6 questions correctly in 40 minutes, giving 5 minutes per question? You can do that. Can you get one set right? Spend 10, 12 minutes, identify the right set, do that set. Maybe you'll do only 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. In the remaining time, go and check out some of the other set. Worst case में जितने टीटा क्वेश्चन सब में 0 लिख देना, एक आध सही हो ही जाएगा. ठीक है. So there's something which you need to learn to be able to break it into smaller components. Same thing in English. कि English में यार, after all, I will read the passage. जो पक्का ठीक लगता है उसको मार्क करता जाऊंगा, बाकी मैं ज्यादा सोचूंगा नहीं. वर्बल में पैरा समरी एंड आउट स्टेटमेंट, सेंटेंस प्लेसमेंट ये तो हो जाते हैं ना. So again, I'm repeating, it is about 50 marks is what you are looking for, 90 percentile, and 20, 15, 15 is something you could be looking at.
Correct. I'll pick this up from Vaidehi. Vaidehi, this is something that, what GP just stated. I think it's a continuation of that and something that we spoke about earlier as well. If you're already in the range of about 45 to 55, let me take an average of about 50. And you're saying, how much can I improve in 20 days? One way of looking at it is it possible that each section में मैं एक question जो wrong कर रही हूँ उसको right कर लूँ? If I just look at it just as simple as that, that means each section you can improve by 4 marks, it moves to 62. And say in each section, if you're able to attempt another, that's another 9 months, that's 71. So scope bahut hai. You can suddenly jump from a 50 to a 70 also. The scope is there, the possibility is there. It's about how you look at it. Number one, the attitude needs to be positive that yes, it can be done. Number two, breaking it down further section wise, like GP stated, ki quant mein what is those two couple of areas where I tend to make a lot of mistakes. The drill down analysis will tell me what is my attempt ratio, what is my accuracy ratio. If I know ki log ke question aana hi hai, I can tell you today, log se kam 2 questions this year also cat you will get. You know, I know, GP knows, everybody in this chat knows. Now if you turn around and tell me nahi par main log nahi kar rahi, mere se nahi hota, main log nahi kar rahi, मैं नहीं कर पा रही, that is what you need to build upon, right? You know those two questions are going to come. Similarly, if say your area of strength is SICI, but SICI may go ahead and look at what is your attempt ratio versus accuracy ratio. You will realize attempt is 80, accuracy is 80. Matlab 64% of the questions which come, I attempt and I get correct. So you know that there is something more that you can do there. Those are the areas, and that's how you can go ahead and build upon it. Secondly, from a VARC perspective, this is something that I want to talk about. GP spoken about it, and I also want to bring in, which is open cat को utilize कर लो at this point in time. एक जगह में सारे वो RCs across different genres from those 3-4 sources जहां पे cat से आता है, वो और कहीं मिलेगा नहीं. So it's a nice way of going ahead and utilizing it for your own benefit. So I think this is something that you can go ahead and do. Okay. Moving to the last part, which is something that we had actually started everything with. हम लोग ने बोला था कि दिवाली आ रही है, और दिवाली में ये 1-2 दिन अगर ब्रेक नहीं लोगे तो प्रॉब्लम है, because that means then you're not serious about your preparation and impact दिखेगा. And that is exactly where we are going to start, or probably end with. Just before that, do's and don'ts, I'd actually forgotten about it, but most of the do's and don'ts we've spoken about. Each subject every day, solve VARC like Quant, we have discussed that ki beast methodology use ho sakta hai, approximation, read passages, give it enough time, analyze all slots over the previous years. Don't run around for material at this point in time. Like GP said, funda book bhi chhod do, mat karo. Hang over a previous year ki bhaiya yahi hona hai, yahi aayega, mera previous attempt theek nahi gaya tha, main tense ho raha, wo sab forget karo. But the one last thing which you should focus on is stress management, which means at this point in time, दिवाली मनाओ फैमिली के साथ. पटाखे मत फोड़ना. अगर फोड़ भी रहे हो तो दिल्ली एनसीआर में मत फोड़ना, मेरे को प्रॉब्लम है गले की, मेरे लिए मत फोड़ना. बट अदरवाइज गो अहेड, एंजॉय दिवाली, हैव फन, chill, watch cricket, hope BGT starts off well, hope India wins one test at least against New Zealand, whitewash ना हो जाए, अच्छा खाना खाओ, chill मारो, go out for a movie, 2 good movies, supposedly Bhul Bhulaiya is coming out and then Singham is also coming out, slapstick brainless movie जाके देख लो, relaxation होगा, do all of it, do it. When you
एक
don't do
मूवी
it ना,
रिकमेंडेशन मैं दे देता हूँ यार गौतम, and possibly
जाने
तुझे
दीजिए
भी
यार, वो
देखनी
बोलो
चाहिए
क्या.
because you are a Kishore Kumar fan. Half Ticket. If you have not watched this
अच्छा हाँ,
movie, you have missed the best comedy in Indian cinema. Okay. So
done.
पक्का देखो Half
So
Ticket.
yeah, so that is there. I have also gotten a task now for my stress management. Half ticket मैं देखने वाला हूँ. So so please ensure. But yeah, on a very serious note, I always state this. You are doing a disservice to yourself by stating next 21-23 days में और कुछ नहीं करूंगा, रोज 12 घंटे 14 घंटे 15 घंटे इस पे लगाऊंगा. भाई, there is something called over practice also. Your best performance needs to be on 24th November, or at least the closest to best performance. You don't want the best performance on 20th November. You don't want it on the 15th of November. So don't overdo. Do enough. Practice करना है. ये भी नहीं बोल रहे नहीं करना, करना है. 8 मॉक लिखने हैं, एनालाइज करना है, PYQP देखना है, सब कुछ करना है, ड्रिल डाउन एनालिसिस देखना है. ओवरडू नहीं करना. Please ensure you do that. And like Jijo always states, go stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself sorry. If you go ahead and don't take that break, tell yourself sorry. गलती हो गई मेरे से भी, अब मैं वो ब्रेक लूंगा. Take that break, recuperate, come back. You will, you will always be better off for it. That's basically it from our end, from GP and me. Few things that we want you all to keep in mind in terms of some of the upcoming major events. Number one, NMAT. Now, I saw a question sometime back, yaar, mera NMAT is on the 6th or the 7th. Should I switch focus? My suggestion, 7 days to go. Yes, switch focus. Switch focus to NMAT for 7 days, write 3 to 4 mocks, analyze it properly. Aim 235 plus चाहिए. Quant में 70 हर सेक्शन में 75 प्लस का एम करो, ओवरऑल 235 प्लस एम करो. थोड़ा स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड है, लास्ट 5-7 years से दैट हैज बीन द कट ऑफ. सो फोकस ऑन दैट, राइट 5-6 मॉक्स, ensure that the adaptive nature works to your advantage. We are going to have exam day tips for NMAT. I'm going to do an NMAT analysis as well. 10th is when I'm writing the paper. The analysis will either be on the 10th or the 11th. Snap 30-day strategy prep plan will also be coming. A lot of you all had asked for it. NMAT analysis, like I spoke about. 10 days to CAT. Last 10 दिन में exactly क्या करना है. Building upon what we spoken about today, a little bit more about how you can relax, because at that time थोड़ा disproportionate time to relaxation भी जाएगा. Final exam day tips. One session that we want to bring in for all of y'all, which is a special session that we are planning, which is planning your finances for MBA 2024. मतलब a lot of y'all will be under stress कि यार call आ जाएगा तो मैं loan कैसे लेते हैं, what is the best rate to get at, what is it that I can do, how can I go ahead and ensure that I am able to apply to certain scholarships and stuff which are there, especially if I'm coming from an EWS background and others. We'll talk about all of that and a lot more in planning your finances. Obviously, the exam analysis sessions of CAT 24, we are planning something very unique this time, in addition to the 3 exam analysis, which is something that you will get to know. And finally, what after CAT, next steps. And one very important part of that is going to be GDP and PDP. One recommendation to all of y'all, while you should not spend the next 2-3 weeks thinking about that, but 24th khatam hota hai. If you know it went off decently, 25th से ये चीज शुरू कर देना. You don't want to be one of those who ends up scoring well but does not convert a top IM just because your preparation for this stage 2 was not at the same level as your CAT preparation. And I have seen it multiple times. GP has probably seen it 3x or 5x of my time, which is students scoring a 99.9 100 percentile but still not making it to the top B schools just because they've not
Yeah.
given adequate amount of time to this. Do not do that. 25th November is when it should start from your perspective. GP, anything you want to add to these major events before I go just to the last
No,
bit?
nothing. I think we've covered everything, so we can close here.
Perfect. So this is one last thing, and का QR code देंगे, scan करो, जाओ, utilize the resources. Telegram group, it's a vibrant Telegram group, upwards of 8,000 odd students constantly talking, discussing questions. Go ahead and do that. QR code of YouTube डालने का कोई फायदा नहीं था, उसी पे हो. Ensure करो you go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that more such sessions keep coming to you. You're a part of it, and go ahead and like the session as well, so that all the team working in the background is also happy and they get motivated. GP, one last question, because Shubhodeep has picked that up. I'll probably throw that at you. Do you want to suggest anything for GMAT? वैसे ISB तो CAT के थ्रू
GMAT
भी है इस
अभी
बार.
नहीं यार, मैं
GMAT की
अभी नहीं
जरूरत है
बोलूंगा
कि नहीं
कुछ.
वो देख लो. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I will say GMAT abhi kuch mat karo, because if you have to take GMAT, my suggestion would be take it let's say mid of February, not now. Your basics are done. You have done the basics of quant, English, reasoning, everything has been done. The only thing which will be required from your point of view now is you have to take mocks, because GMAT is adapted paper, and the way you take that paper is very different from the way you take CAT. But till that, don't worry about GMAT. By let's say 10th of January, you'll know your ZAT score kya hai, CAT score kya hai. ZAT because you'll have the response sheet with you. You may not have the ZAT score per se, but response sheet hogi to pata chal jayega kya hai. If you think after that you still need to take GMAT, give yourself about 1 month, maybe 1.5 months, and focus on taking knocks of GMAT, so that you understand how you go about doing it. But beyond that, nothing else is required by and large.
Perfect. So, Shubhadeep, you won't miss ISB because ISB YL is through CAT as well. So, focus on CAT. Uske through ho jayega. Ishan is saying, I need overall analysis of my past mocks. Yes, it's there in the My Zone. You can look at the overall analysis. You can also look at the drill down analysis. That's it from our end for now. Thanks for this, guys. Hope you had fun. Hope this was something which was helpful. See you again very, very soon. Have a very, very happy Diwali to you and to your family and friends. All the best. Enjoy Diwali.
Yeah. All the best. Have a happy Diwali. Good night.